Hi, welcome back, guys. This is your friend, the Welcome to Fanfic's World, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Katsuki's and Deku Qurik now. Before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want more videos like this now, let's get into the fanfics. To say Katsuki is annoyed is an understatement. He's livid. What is his mother thinking? Why on earth would he want to spend a summer's afternoon getting acquainted with some people he doesn't know, when he could be out playing with his friends? This whole day is going to suck. Katsuki, I want you to be on your best behavior today. His mother starts. Gaze focus on the road with the steering wheel in hand. How does his mother even do that? Talk while driving at the same time. If you give these people any trouble, you won't get off scot-free. Katsuki whines. But Mom. No buts. We're going to meet up with them, and you're going to like it. Katsuki glares at his mother's head from the back seat, and he crosses his arms. He's tempted for a moment to throw a tantrum, but decides against it. He knows his mother isn't joking when she says she won't let him off easy if he's rude today. The last time he was rude to any of her acquaintances, he got grounded for 2 weeks. So he's not willing to push her buttons again. Still, nothing annoys him more than having to act polite to people he wants nothing to do with. I know the thought of having to meet my new colleagues at work is far from what you find exciting, his mother continues. But I can promise you it won't be all that bad. They have a kid your age who will keep you company while we're there, and who's similar to you in a lot of ways. Katsuki's head jerks upward at the latter statement. His curiosity piqued. They do? Despite only being able to see the back of her head, Katsuki knows his mother's smiling. Yep, and I'm sure that by the end of the day, you'll have ended up befriending her. Katsuki was almost excited at the prospect of making a new friend until that last word came out of his mother's mouth. Wait, could she repeat that last thing she said? No, he had to have heard her wrong. Unfortunately, what his mother says next confirms his ears hadn't failed him. Remember, since she's a girl, try not to play roughly with her. You have a tendency of doing that with your friends at school, but girls are different. You have to treat them with a lot more dash. She's a girl. He blurts out in indignation. His mother frowns. Is there something wrong with that? How could his mother even ask that? Of course there is. Girls are lame. He exclaims hotly, anger surging within him. Befriending a girl of all things is not what he signed up for. What's his mother even thinking? How can his mother think he'll just sit down and take this information calmly? His mother doesn't seem too happy with his reaction. In case you've forgotten, I happen to be a girl. That comment doesn't reassure him at all, but he refrains from telling her that. Mama, please, he complains. Can't you just leave me at home? Just why the hell would I want to be friends with one of them? Watch your language, young man. She growls, and he growls back. I don't want another word out of you, she continues angrily. You're going to be on your best behavior today. And if you so much as look at that poor girl funny, your punishment will be a lot worse than the last time I grounded you. An almost literal explosive rage bursts within him, and it takes all of his self-control to bite his tongue and keep quiet. That doesn't stop him from shaking, though. Great! This day is going to be a complete bust. It's bad enough that he's going to have to play with a girl, but to make matters worse, he's going to have to play nice. It's the first time Katsuki's actually considering getting grounded as opposed to this. In many ways, perhaps it'd be a kinder fate. Girls are dumb. It's a fact everybody knows. And while Katsuki himself has never taken the time to actually get to know one personally, his own input on what they're like doesn't matter anyway. After all, who is he to question the opinions of his peers? They're the only ones in town who acknowledge him for the genius that he is. He has unshaking faith in their opinion. After all, they have good taste. They're capable of knowing greatness when they see it. So he trusts they know what they're talking about when it comes to these things. Besides, from what he himself has observed of them, there's no reason for him to think otherwise. Everyone treats them as though they're these fragile little creatures that require delicate care. Considering the amount of times one of them has broken down crying in class over nothing, Katsuki can't say that line of thinking isn't completely justified. All in all, they're just too different in comparison to boys that Katsuki can't imagine he'd ever get along with one. They're interested in sissy things like playing with dolls and playing dress-up, Katsuki has never understood how anyone could find those activities fun. He'd much rather be outside, playing a sport or trading hero cards with his friends. The amount of times he's returned home covered in dirt and sweat due to having partaken in unruly activities momentarily makes him smile. The smile disappears as they roll into the parking lot, as he remembers that today, unruly activities are probably the last thing he'll be doing. There's no reason to believe this girl will be different from any other he's seen so far, and the thought that he'll have to waste an entire day being gentle with one makes him bristle. He snorts. This day is going to suck. Hard. Katsuki's head is lowered and fists are balled as his mother knocks on the door. The door opens and reveals a woman who looks to be around his mother's age. He won't lie. The lady is sort of pretty. Clear green eyes, fair skin, and shiny green hair make for an all-right combination, he admits. He still wants to leave, though. His mother practically pounces on her. "Inko-san, it's great to see you again," his mother exclaims, rushing to entrap the woman in a bear hug. Katsuki rolls his eyes. His mother tends to do that a lot to people she barely knows. Also, just a minute ago she was angry, and now she's acting all happy? She's so fake. The woman looks caught off guard by the sudden physical contact. Her face is briefly one of alarm before it slowly changes to one of warmth. "It's nice to see you again, too, Mitsuki-san," the woman says softly, and it's now clear as day that she's the exact opposite of his mother. Mitsuki grins and releases the poor woman from her ensnarement. "Where's Hisashi-san?" "Unfortunately, he had to go last minute to run some errands for our family, so he won't be with us today." "Ah, bummer." Mitsuki TSKS. The green-haired woman nods, but then turns her attention to Katsuki and regards him with a thoughtful look. Katsuki tries his hardest not regard her with a glare. "And who's this young man you brought with you?" she says fondly, a smile on her face. Katsuki's silent and looks at the ground. He knows now's the time to put on the mask of being polite and introduce himself. But the only thing coming to mind right now is how much he doesn't want to be here. His mother, probably having sensed this, replies for him. "This is Katsuki. He's young, all right, but I wouldn't say he's much a man." In an instant, his brow furrows, teeth grit, and he stares icily up at his mother. Is she trying to provoke him on purpose now? He doesn't notice the surprised look on Inko's face, nor the fact that she's recoiled at the sudden change in demeanor coming from him. His mother then laughs, puts a hand on his head, and starts petting him aggressively. "Easy there, scamp," she tells him, and Katsuki doesn't miss the brief cold look she gives him, even though it's dangerously fast. He knows what it is, a silent reminder that he has to be on his best behavior today. Or else, screw his life. Mitsuki then looks back at Inko with a reassuring grin. "Relax, Inko-san, he doesn't bite. You want to try me, old lady?" He's just a bit hungry right now, so he can't take a joke. The scowl doesn't leave his face. Liar. Inko blinks. Oh, no worries, Mitsuki-san. That's perfectly understandable." The smile returns on Inko's face, and she gestures towards the inside of her home. "Why don't you both come in then, and I'll get both of you something to eat." "Thank you, Inko-san. That's very thoughtful of you," his mother replies, and Inko moves aside to let them enter. XX. And then I said, "You take that back, you loser. You don't talk to my son that way." "Really? You're kidding me." Mitsuki laughs and takes another sip of her beer. "I'm serious." It takes all of Katsuki's willpower not to grab his mother's drink and throw it across the room. It's been 40 minutes since they came here, and so far, both women's behavior have been driving Katsuki insane. Things were relatively all right at first, once they entered the home. Inko brought them to the living room, and the Bakugos were then seated on the couch. Katsuki was then given a sandwich to munch on, which momentarily provided him relief from the stress of this whole situation. But once Inko brought a chair and small table and sat across from them, things quickly got intolerable after that. Since then, the women have just been indulging in pointless chatter. The conversations were mostly about work at first, which he supposes is understandable, considering their colleagues, but then the topics just started devolving into idle gossip. Things got even worse when Inko offered his mother a beer, which Katsuki should have known immediately was a red flag. He can tell that the alcohol is starting to affect his mother now, and Katsuki can't begin to express how much he hates his mother when she drinks with friends. He's so bored and frustrated that, honestly, he's considering throwing a fit just so they can just leave. Maybe getting grounded is a better alternative to this. Heck, maybe even playing namby-pamby games with that girl he's supposed to meet is better than this. Wait a second. They've been here for 40 minutes, and so far, there's been no sign of the foretold girl in question. In fact, now that he thinks about it, the lady hasn't even mentioned so far that she has a daughter. Isn't that weird, though? They've been talking to each other for about 40 minutes, and how is it that she has yet to bring up her daughter in any of their conversations? The first things adults normally talk about when they meet up are their kids, right? Well, as far as he's concerned, they've both been acting as though theirs don't even exist. It's also unlike his mother not to mention kids at all in a conversation. In fact, most of the time, it's all she blabbers about. Something's up. And while Katsuki's positive it's due to how restless and agitated he is at this point, he wants to get to the bottom of this. He looks back to the women, who are now partaking in a conversation on where to buy the best groceries. His eyes narrow. How long are they going to keep the charade up? Well, to hell with it. He's not going to sit there and be played for a fool. He's never been good at keeping his mouth shut when he wants something. Anyway, well, Mitsuki-san, you see. Say, he cuts the green-haired woman off sharply, prompting her to blink, and his mother to flash him a look of anger. He ignores both of their reactions, fed up with their bullcrap, and wanting to understand what's truly going on. He leans forward and places the tip of his chin between his thumb and index finger, his face dark. Don't you have a daughter or something? He asks coolly, his gaze burning into Inko's. The woman in question goes pale at his question. Katsuki's expression hardens. Hiding something now, are we? His question is met with a smack by his mother to his head. Ow! He shouts and sneers at Mitsuki. Just what was that for, old lady? Katsuki, you're being rude. She barks. She looks back at Inko with an apologetic look and bows her head. Please excuse him, Inko, for his behavior. I suppose that he's just so excited to meet Izuku that he's growing restless. Katsuki throat rumbles, as if the only reason he cared so much about finding out whether or not he'd meet the girl was because the two women were acting as though the whole ordeal wasn't even going to happen, while he definitely wanted not to happen. If it's already going to, there was no point for them to beat around the bush. Still, his mother's words confirm that there is a girl to meet up with. While Katsuki can't say that knowledge makes him in any way relieved, at least the information isn't being toyed around with anymore. So the girl's name is Izuku, huh? Why were they acting like she didn't exist then? And where is she right now, anyway? Sweat beads down Inko's forehead as she fumbles with her fingers, smiles awkwardly, and looks to the ground. It's quite all right, Mitsuki-san. I apologize for not having brought her out here sooner. I admit I got so distracted by your arrival, Mitsuki-san, and by the lovely conversations we've been having the short 15 minutes that you've been here, that Katsuki's eyes widen. What? He exclaims in disbelief. They've only been there for 15 minutes. Why did it feel like 40 then? Because time goes by slower when you're bored? His inner voice rationalizes. He grumbles. Shut up. His mother smacks him on the head again. Quit speaking out of turn. Well, you quit hitting me. He blurts, shaking, unable to keep up the civil charade any longer. He's exasperated at this point. Mitsuki glances at Inko. Forgive him, please, and continue. Inko swallows. She's obviously uncomfortable by how he and his mother communicate. The dynamic within her family is probably different. Katsuki deduces. No need to worry, Mitsuki-san. In any case, as I was saying, I got so distracted by your arrival, and coupled with our conversation we've been having for the last 15 minutes. All those things made me forget to bring Izuku out here. How do you forget something like that? He thinks to himself boredly. She then turns to Katsuki and looks at him meekly. So, sorry about that, Katsuki-kun. This whole time we've been talking, you've probably been longing to go and play with your new friend already. You must have been frustrated because of that. No, and no. That is not why he was frustrated. Katsuki's temper starts to flare, but sensing his mother's watchful eyes on him, He takes a breath and keeps cool. He then stares at Inko coldly, hoping that his intense leer will be enough to convey his feelings of bridal fury. Disappointingly, she's unfazed. "I'll go get her now," she says with a small smile, rising to her feet. Katsuki doesn't miss the way her smile falters for a moment, though. "The thing is, I told her to come out of her room herself when you both arrived. But, well, you see?" "But what?" Katsuki demands, impatient. His mother hisses at him, but he ignores it. He's tired of them dragging things on for too long. Inko sighs and rubs the back of her neck. She can be a bit shy around people she doesn't know, and I suppose that's why she hasn't left her room herself so far. So, guess she's equally thrilled to meet me as I am. He thinks dryly to himself. There have been multiple instances where she's, "Oh, never mind. Nothing's wrong. It might just take me a minute or two to convince her to come out. That's all." She walks past them and opens a black door located on the right couch where the Bakugos are seated. "I'll be right back," she says, and enters a room where Izuku's probably residing. The second Inko enters the room and closes the door. Mitsuki speaks up. "I thought I told you to be on your best behavior," she snaps. "I am," he retorts, his true colors coming forth. "And besides, you know I could be a lot worse. Do you hear how you're talking to me?" "Yeah, it's how you talk to an annoying old hag. That is no way to talk to your mother, you little—" They pipe down the second Inko exits the room, with Mitsuki radiating a mass of politeness, and Katsuki sporting one of indifference. "Well, you see." Inko presses both of her index fingers against each other. Katsuki notices that she hasn't brought anyone out of the room with her. He wants a groan. "What now?" "Inko-san, what's wrong?" Mitsuki asks worriedly, jumping to her feet and rushing over to her side. She puts a hand on one of Inko's shoulders. Inko sighs. "We have a small problem." The green-haired woman says finally. Katsuki doesn't know whether to think Izuku's a wimp or a genius. When Inko told the Bakugo duo that Izuku locked herself in her closet to avoid having to meet them, Katsuki initially scorned the girl for doing so. Sissy, he thought. Coward isn't even brave enough to greet her own guests. He wasn't even disappointed. He had already known what to expect. However, when Inko mentioned that this wasn't the first time Izuku had done something like this, and that there were even times when she hid herself somewhere else in the house just so she could avoid meeting guests, he was struck with the sudden realization. Wait, why haven't I ever thought of doing that before? There have been so many times in the past where he's agonized over having to meet new guests, but the idea that he could just hide himself somewhere in a house to avoid doing so was one that never came to mind. How was that possible? For him not to ever think of doing something like that? It got even worse when Inko started elaborating all the creative ways Izuku had hidden herself from guests in the past. Izuku would typically hide in bizarre locations where no one would dare to look. Under the couch, in the washing machine, and there was a time where she even hid herself in the kitchen pantry. There were even times when no one ended up even finding her until she decided to leave the hiding spot herself. How? How was a girl such as herself, capable of thinking up such genius places to hide? How was a girl capable of thinking of such a brilliant idea in the first place, before he had? His mind tried to rationalize it. It made him feel strange. It made him angry. No, he thought to himself, fist clenching. I refuse to believe that a girl is in any way smarter than I am. I refuse to believe that a girl has outdone me. And thus, these are the thoughts that have been passing through Katsuki's mind as he, his mother, and Inko have been standing out of Izuku's closet, the two women trying feebly to persuade her out. At this point, Katsuki's sense of self is shook. He's lost in his own world, trying to his best to reassure his debilitating ego. He's not even paying that much attention to the two women's actions, although his mind subconsciously makes the occasional commentary. Izuku, why don't you come out? Our guests have arrived. That won't work, lady. Try something more creative. Don't you want to meet your new friend? Katsuki almost laughs at that. No matter what the two women want out of them, they sure as hell aren't going to be friends. At one point, Mitsuki speaks up. There's no need be scared, Izuku-chan. Katsuki won't bite. His mother seems to be fond of using that phrase. If only it were true. He quickly realizes he's bothered by how the women are treating her. They're speaking to Izuku with the utmost concern, but if the roles were reversed, and he were the one in the closet, his mother would scream at him to get out. That's for sure. Why are they being so gentle with her? She's deliberately disobeying a grown-up's order. Isn't she supposed to get yelled at for that? Is it because she's a girl? He realizes. His chest burns at the thought. Right, of course it is. Despite having conceded with that fact, the stinging in his chest refuses to subside. Just why is it that girls are always treated better? What's so great about girls that they always get the long end of the stick when it comes to everything? It's not fair. It doesn't help that the entire time, this girl been silent from the other side of the door. That knowledge makes him all the more heated. What is she playing at? Everybody already knows she's hiding there. She hasn't got anybody fooled, especially not him. Inko sighs and turns towards the Bakugo pair. Oh, dear. I'm sorry to the both of you. This is all my fault. Don't be so hard on yourself, Inko-sen. Mitsuki tells her softly. Why is his mother being so nice about the whole situation? She'd never be that nice to him. He grits his teeth. Inko shakes her head. No, I should be hard on myself. I should have known she'd go and pull something like this again. Inko turns to Katsuki, and he openly glares at her this time around. There's no point in hiding his dissatisfaction anymore, what with everything that's happened so far. The thing is, before you arrived, she was so excited to meet you, Katsuki-kun. So I thought something like this wouldn't happen again. She was? He thinks, somewhat surprised, his anger momentarily hesitating. She doesn't get along with many kids her age. And from what Mitsuki-san's told me of you, you both have a lot of things in common. It quickly comes back, though. Do we now? He thinks dryly. But it seems like the whole situation was too much for her. Inko trails off. She sighs again. All in all, it's my fault. She then takes an accusing glance towards the closet door. And I probably should be more strict on her as her mother in the future. Katsuki doesn't know why, but he feels a small rush of glee at the knowledge that the girl won't go unpunished. Well, it serves her right. She deserves it. Hopefully, she'll get a punishment similar to the ones he receives regularly. Mitsuki places a hand on Inko's shoulder. Don't worry, Inko-san. No kid's perfect. If shyness is the only thing wrong with your kid, well, then frankly, you're lucky. He rolls his eyes at his mother's obvious jab towards him. She's always sucked at being subtle. In any case, Mitsuki says, and Katsuki then realizes that the whole time, her face has been slightly red. He cringes in embarrassment. No, Mom, don't tell me. I want to stay and help with the whole situation. But could you show me to your bathroom first? She laughs awkwardly, rubbing her neck. I may have had too much to drink. I feel a bit nauseous. I knew it. Katsuki wants to bash his head on the wall. Well, he can't say he's surprised. If anything, he's surprised that the alcohol hasn't started taking effect on her sooner. She usually starts acting funny immediately after the first sip. Besides, it wouldn't be his mother not to get drunk within the first 15 minutes at a guest's house. That doesn't make it any less annoying, though. Inko's cheeks slowly turn pink. Oh. She turns to Katsuki for a moment, then turns back to Mitsuki, then to Katsuki, and then to Mitsuki again. Make up your mind, woman. Of course, Mitsuki-san. She then turns back to Katsuki, whose lips are curling into a snarl at the incessant head-turning. Katsuki-kun, while I'm off escorting your mother to the bathroom, why don't you try talking to Izuku in the meantime? What? Inko doesn't stop there, though. I'm sure you can convince her to come out. Maybe if you talk to yourself, she'll see that she has nothing to fear. Ha! Is this lady for real? Inko's expression is unwavering, letting Katsuki know that she's serious. The young boy, silent, is then overtook by a wave of jumbled emotions. Just what's this lady smoking? He thinks to himself, incredulous. He looks to Mitsuki for her opinion on the matter, but she's staring at the floor, probably concentrating on not toppling over. He shakes his head. Typical. He tries to think a good argument as to why it's the dumbest idea he's ever heard, but Mitsuki interrupts his train of thought with a snort. Great idea, Inko-san. Let Katsuki of all people talk to her. That'll convince her to come out. Sarcasm drips out of Mitsuki's mouth like venom, a notion that's painfully obvious to Katsuki, and one that seems to make Inko uncomfortable for some reason. Inko says hesitantly and glances back at Katsuki. Katsuki shrugs. She has a point, he drawls. Inko surprisingly then frowns and takes Mitsuki's hand. Come on, Mitsuki-san, you needn't exert yourself. I'll show you to the bathroom now. They then start heading in the direction of the door, prompting Katsuki to remember the position he's in. Wait, she's not serious. Is she? No, she couldn't be. This lady couldn't make him do this. Pay your mother no heed, Katsuki-kun, Inko states, this time a bit more sternly, before her gaze and tone softens. I know you can convince Izuku to leave the closet if you just try. There's no need to be shy or nervous. You just have to believe in yourself. The two women then leave, unaware of the effect Inko's last statement had on Katsuki, and the storm now brewing within him. How dare she? How dare this stupid, dumb hag of a stranger, who barely even knows him, assume for 1 second that he's lacking confidence, to talk to a girl of all things. This is the first time anyone has made his blood boil. So much. Katsuki thought he knew what it felt like to be angry, but nothing compares to what he's feeling right now. This hag, how dare she? How dare she assume he's some sort of victim of circumstance? And to add insult to injury, they've left him alone in the room with the girl. So that what? He could convince her to leave her hiding spot? To put on this goody two-shoes act? Play the role of some prince in shining armor and make the girl feel at ease? Befriend her? Katsuki's had enough of this. This day was off to a bad start already. But this was the final straw. A squeak that comes out from the closet door reminds him of the source of all this bullcrap. This girl, Izuku Midoriya, the girl who outdid him, the girl who thinks she's so smart for having thought up of such a clever idea before he did, the girl who didn't even receive the slightest hint of a punishment for her behavior today, for no other reason than being a girl. They want him to convince Izuku out? Oh, he's going to convince her to get out, and he's going to do it his way. Katsuki whirls around in the direction of the closet door. You think you're so clever, don't you? He says quietly, fist shaking. He's greeted by silence. Rage sears through him. You think if you stay quiet, I'm not going to notice you're there? Your little shy act might work on the grown-ups, but sure as hell isn't going to work on me. Her mom said earlier on that Izuku's timid, but after thinking about it more, Katsuki bets that's just a ploy as well, to get what she wants out of situations. After all, what's the point in being shy, anyway? There isn't one. It just makes you weak. But what's worse is that, up until now, he's never at all considered that some people act shy in order to emotionally manipulate others. Of course, he'd never do something like that, as it's too cowardly for his taste, but it still bothers him how he'd never even considered the idea until now. And it bothers him, knowing that this girl thought it before him, although he'll never admit it. He knows deep within him that he's been outdone. Again, but he's never going to let her know that. I know what you're doing. This little game of yours. I have it all figured out. So, don't think for a second that it will work on me. He says, voice dangerously low. Katsuki hears a befuddled breath from the other side of the door, but aside from that, no direct response from her part. You're playing the pity card, he continues. You act scared so that you can get others to act the way you want. You act this way on purpose, so that grown-ups won't be so hard on you. He pauses, feeling himself grow ill at what he's about to say next. I won't lie, he says, bow rise in his throat. It wasn't a half-bad idea. That's the biggest compliment you'll ever get out of me, anyway. Izuku's still being quiet. She's really starting to piss him off. What is her deal? She's already been figured out. There's no point for her to keep playing pretend. But just because you thought of it before me doesn't make you better than me, you hear? No reply. Just silence from the other end. Oh, he gets it now. She's looking down on him. That's it. Any self-restraint he's been trying to maintain is now lost. You piece of crap. he snarls, and before he knows it, he's kicking the door as hard as he can. W, what are you doing? A voice cries out from the closet door. Oh, now you're talking. Don't screw with me. Get out, he roars, his fury blinding him from any reason. Your whole shy act doesn't fool me. Quit acting like you're so much better than me. Quit looking down on me. Stop. She wails. Please leave me alone. If you think you're so much better than me, then face me in person. Please, just no more. Either you open this door or I break it down. Please, stop this. You're scaring me. You think I care? All right, I'll leave. But please, just stop kicking the door. Katsuki continues to kick the door for another 10 seconds before complying to the girl's request. He lost all rationale. Sue him. He then sits on the floor, panting heavily, his anger still present, but having lessened. Kicking a door can really tire a kid out and make one forget why they were mad to begin with. After regaining his composure, he looks back up at the door. He didn't damage it, a fact he's surprised by, considering how hard he was kicking. But it's still closed. Well, he demands, I'm waiting. Just promise me you won't hurt me the second I leave, or get into a fight with me, or hit me, or something dash. I'm only going to hurt you if you stay in there a second longer, he spits out. There's a hesitant whimper, but the door opens regardless, albeit slowly. Humph. Took you long enough, dash. Normally, he would take more time to take in her appearance, if he weren't distracted by one thing. The girl we believed to have outdone him, has wet herself, and suddenly, Katsuki realizes that perhaps her wimpiness wasn't an act after all. Negative thoughts engulf Izuku as her mother Inko changes the little girl's clothes into new ones as they stand alone, only the two of them, in her room. This is the worst day of my life. Why am I such a failure? Mom, I'm sorry. Inko sighs as she ties up Izuku's zipper and straightens out her shirt. Why are you apologizing, Izuku? Inko asks. Izuku looks up at her mother, but then turns away. Because I made of a fool of us today. Katsuki-kun must think I'm the biggest idiot out there. Inko purses her lip forlorn. Izuku. Inko fumbles. Izuku can't meet her mother's gaze. I don't know what happened. I got so scared to meet Katsuki that I just made a complete moron out of myself. She shakes her head, trying to silence her self-critical voice. It's all right, Izuku, but try not to do it again in the future, all right? You're a big girl now. Meeting a new person shouldn't be this stressful. I know it shouldn't. Then why is it? Why does the thought of her making a new friend scare her so much? Dummy, she already knows the answer to that. It's because she's weak. I'm very sorry for all of this. Mitsuki snorts. Inko-san, please. No need to keep apologizing. By this point, Katsuki's indifferent to whatever bullcrap is in store for him for the rest of the day. The worst is past, he hopes. And if things go as he expects, he'll survive the day mostly unscathed. It'll be an annoying one, but he'll manage. As both their mothers speak, Katsuki stares at Izuku, who is clinging to Inko's leg. Her eyes focus on the ground. A pathetic sight, really. He snorts. Well, as long as Izuku does whatever he wants for the rest of the day, he'll tolerate her. He promised his mother that he'd play nice. But by this point, he doesn't care about following that demand of hers. He knows the two of them will be left alone in Izuku's room. And with enough convincing, he's sure he'll be able to stop Izuku from telling on him if he ends up playing too roughly with her. That shouldn't be hard. If her cowardly display is anything to go by, he hopes his mother has nothing against them playing a game of bloody knuckles. Of course, not that Mitsuki will find out. Kakin. Katsuki instantly snaps back to reality upon hearing his mother call him his nickname, a nickname that drives him crazy beyond all belief. What? He spits out. Is she trying to annoy me on purpose now? Quit zoning out all the time. I'm talking to you. For Christ's sake, his mother snaps. As Inko-san was saying, Mitsuki continues. This is how things are going to go. Me and Inko-san are going to be in the living room, discussing topics related to our work for the rest of the day. As for you, You're going to be playing with Izuku in her room for the rest of the day. I already knew those things. Old hag. Another thing. You're going to play whatever games Izuku wants to play. Katsuki, Inko, and even Izuku both straightened their necks in surprise at this declaration. Katsuki was told he'd have to play nice. He knows that. But to play only what Izuku wanted? No. No, no, no. What? Katsuki shouts, "Mom, you can't dash." Before he has a chance to protest, his mother pulls him by the ear. To Katsuki's gratitude, Inko steps in with her thoughts. "Mitsuki, that's really not necessary," she begins. "I'm sure the two of them can compromise and find games they both want to play." Not exactly what Katsuki has in mind, but he'll take that as opposed to having a girl choose entirely what they're going to play. Nonsense, Inko-san. Above all, Izuku is a girl, and knowing my son, any games Katsuki wants to play will be way too rough on her. There his mother goes again, with the whole girls should be protected. Nonsense. He inwardly groans. Well, to hell with his mother. They're going to play what he wants to play today, and he'll make sure Izuku keeps her mouth shut regarding that. Mitsuki then stares down at Izuku, a petrifying look in her eyes. "Oh no, not that look. Izuku-chan," she begins, her voice mesmerizing. "Feel free to tell Kakin which games you want to play with him. And by the end of the day, I want you to tell me if you had a fun day. Is that all right? This hag." He swears he's going to murder Mitsuki the second he grows up. He wants to punch the wall. He knows he's lost. While he's generally immune to his mother's manipulation tactics, she herself is skilled at making more sensitive people do what she wants, even more so than him. And he knows that today, if he doesn't abide by his mother, Mitsuki will find out. She'll keep pressing Izuku for answers and will detect if Izuku's lying. So, to put things lightly, he's screwed. It's been 5 minutes since the adults left Katsuki and Izuku in her room, and all they've been doing is sitting on her bed, silent. Izuku uncomfortable, while Katsuki, well, hard to read, but he sure doesn't seem comfortable with the situation they're both in. Izuku finally decides to cut to the chase. "So it's nice to meet you, Katsuki-kun." Katsuki doesn't reply. He seems lost in thought. His eyes are cold and focused, and Izuku notices that he's trying hard not to shake. While Izuku admits this display is intimidating, part of her is intrigued by it as well. In order to compensate for being a loner, she typically spends a good amount of time analyzing the people around her, and so far, she doesn't know what to make of this boy. Aggressive, he seems, judging by his attempt to nearly kill me earlier on. Analytical, judging by how he's acting now. And definitely scary. "Can you quit with the staring, nerd?" he snarls. Izuku flinches and retreats to the other end of the bed. He noticed. Sorry," she blurts out. The silence resumes for another minute or so. Sweat beads down Izuku's forehead, and she bites the inside of her cheek while staring at the ground. Are things just going to be like this for the rest of the day? She thinks to herself miserably. This time, Katsuki breaks the ice. "I still can't believe you peed yourself," he snorts. "That's something only babies do." Izuku's face turns beet red, and she lowers her head in shame. He's mean. He doesn't stop there, though. "I get that you're a girl and all, but that just makes you more gross." Ow! Yet she doesn't defend herself because she knows he's right. And what's worse is that I'm going to have to play with that type of person for the rest of the day. He grumbles. "Ow, ow." Anyway, he continues, getting to his feet. He stretches, then turns around to face her. "Izuku, right? That's your name." She nods. "You're probably the lamest person I've ever met." Ouch! That settled it. Izuku bites her lip, and before she knows it, tears start streaming down her cheeks. Katsuki's eyes widen in alarm, and he rushes over to her, grabs her by the shoulders. Hey, don't cry, L, he exclaims, panicked. "Crap, please, whatever you do, just don't cry." But his pleas cause her to cry harder and tears to fall faster. "Crap, I can't get in trouble so soon," he pants under his breath. "Please, Izuku, please stop crying. Please, I really don't want to get in trouble. Not now, at least." Izuku rubs her eyes and tries to even out her breathing. After a minute of doing so, she starts to regain her composure. "Sorry," she says quietly. Katsuki sighs in relief and releases his hold on her. "You really cry easily, don't you?" he remarks, eyes narrowed. "Jesus, how does anyone put up with you?" He regrets the words as soon as they leave his mouth, as he doesn't miss the way Izuku flinches at them. Crap, can't have her start crying again, he thinks in alarm. To his surprise, she doesn't. She simply coils into a ball and lowers her head. "I wish I knew the answer to that," she replies despondently. Her words cause an uncomfortable feeling to tug at his gut, one he's not familiar with. He scoffs and pushes the feeling away. Feeling bad for her won't get him anywhere. Katsuki clears his throat. "So, this is how things are going to go down. You tell me which games you want to play, and I'll pick the one that sounds the least stupid." "Sound good." Izuku nods and taps her chin, contemplating. "What sort of games do you like to play?" She asks. "Bloody knuckles. Wrestling. Tug of war. I don't think I like those games very much." Shocker. Izuku's cheeks turn pink. Katsuki snorts. "My mom said we have a lot in common. But the more this day passes, the more I'm finding that harder to believe," he scoffs. While Izuku is lost in thought, Katsuki analyzes her room. There's nothing in the room that indicates it belongs to a little girl like her, aside from her bed. The walls are white, empty of any decor, and there aren't any toys in sight. He supposes it's because she's just moved here, but still. Isn't there anything interesting about this girl? He looks over to her drawer, located on the left of her bed. "Is this where you keep your toys?" he asks, and without bothering to wait for a response, he starts walking in its direction. Izuku's head jerks upward. "Wah! Wait! Don't open that drawer," she says fervently. Katsuki's eyes widen. This is... No, it couldn't be. The limited edition figure of All Might. He whirls around and faces Izuku. She's looking at the ground, face beet red. "How?" Katsuki's at a loss for words. This had to be the most expensive model on the market right now. All of his friends wanted it, but it was rare, and even he didn't own it. Why was such an expensive, rare artifact in her hands? "This girl, where did you get this?" Katsuki demands. "And why do you, all the people, have it?" This is so unfair. It's bad enough that she did all those things today, but now... The blonde young boy sighs and massages his temples. He's so exhausted from the emotional turmoil he's been put through today that he hasn't even the strength to be as angry as he should be. Izuku presses her index fingers together, her face pale, and gaze fixated on the ground. "Well," he asks, exasperated. She doesn't respond. Izuku's hands merely fall to her sides, and she just stands there, gaze obscured by her bangs, face growing paler by the second. God, is she annoying? How he'd love to just ram her up against the wall and make her spit it out. Katsuki's eyes darken. "You gonna answer me?" he snarls, advancing slowly toward her with his fist balled. "An ERD?" Izuku looks back up at him, eyes tear-stricken, tears in her eyes. Suddenly the uncomfortable feeling that he felt in his gut earlier on returns, and he stops in his tracks, his anger momentarily faltering. Why is she crying? "I didn't want anyone to see or know that I had that action figure," she says, sniffling. He blinks in confusion before his eyes narrow. "Oh, I get it. You think that you're so special for having that figure that you wanted to keep it all to yourself, not let anyone else know you had it." Izuku's expression changes to that of surprise, and for a brief second, hope glimmers through her eyes. No, I mean, she shakes her head violently. You aren't weirded out by the fact that I own this. God, she sure just loved to push his buttons. She can sense I'm jealous of her. The little brat. Weirded out. He snarls. "Please, it's the lamest thing I've ever seen. I'd expect nothing else from a loser like you." He doesn't regret the lie he told at all. Not one bit. Her reaction is priceless. He's never been a fan of beating a dead house, but he's curious to see how slaughtering the runt of the litter feels like. That being said, you can't even pick your shitty toys right. Any toy that's related to a hero should not be in the hands of a creature like you. He taps his chin. It's a crime against nature, really. Izuku bites her lip and looks at the ground. He's right. She thinks to herself miserably. Oddly. She isn't crying. You're right. She says quietly. What? She looks back up at him, eyes devoid of emotion. I'm everything you say I am. She says, I'm a weakling, a crybaby, and a loser. And to top it all off, I'm a girl who'd rather play with action figures than normal girl toys. Oh, God. She can feel the tears come back again. Dang it, why did she cry so much? I'm supposed to like normal girl stuff, but I just don't. I don't like being a girl. Almost all the time, I think about how much cooler it'd be if I were born a boy. She whimpers. Boys don't cry so easily, and the things they like are so much cooler, too. I look up to them. So much. I look up to heroes, too. So much. She wipes her nose. I have only the worst traits that make up a girl, not the good. And for these reasons, I can't make a cool impression on neither girls nor boys. She bites her lip. I'm just worthless, useless, a failure. So many negative words come to her mind, but all pale in comparison to one that fits her most. A nothing. Katsuki's lost. He feels bad. He's aware of that, but he never feels bad for anyone. And the fact that he's pitying someone who he also considers to be a nothing disturbs him. Do something, Katsuki! His inner voice screams at him. But he can't. You can have that figure. Wait, did he hear that right? Wah! He exclaims. Izuku wipes her nose and gazes into eyes, a determined look adorning her face. You can have it, she says steadily. You might think it's junk just because it belongs to me, but you shouldn't. That figure is one of the most expensive and high quality on the market right now. She sighs and scratches the back of her head. A figure like that is better off in the hands of a boy like you than a girl like me. He drops the figure in question, aghast. You'd give this to me? Izuku nods. I know it might mean nothing to you, considering I'm the biggest loser you've ever met, but please accept it. A cool toy like that, it's meant for a boy, not a girl like me. Is this some kind of joke? Katsuki barks. This girl, she blinks and looks away. And no, I mean, he grits his teeth. You got to be kidding me. Izuku shakes her head. I'm not, He finds it hard to speak. He's definitely never felt like this before. You really? What is this? Hate yourself. What is this? Why is his voice shaking? Why? Katsuki never feels bad for anyone. Katsuki has never cried for anyone. That much. The fun has begun. Is Katsuki-kun crying? Katsuki's eyes suddenly meet Izuku's, his glare stopping her train of thought. Listen up, nerd, he yells. Izuku shrieks in fear. What? What did she do? You can keep your lame toy, he spits, wiping his nose. I'm not interested in accepting anything from the likes of you. You hear me? Izuku can only stand there, petrified. This boy, he's completely... She isn't scared. She's not scared. She isn't even hurt. She's angry. A dam breaks within her. One she didn't know even existed. What is your deal? She screams. Do you know how hard it was for me to say that? To do something like that? This feeling, this rage, is foreign to her. And considering her emotions are generally out of whack anyway, that's saying something. Give me a break. Katsuki gnarls. His head is lowered, and his bangs conceal his eyes. You think I don't know how your kind thinks? You've been playing me for a fool this whole time. My what? Her kind. What are you even talking about? What you're doing and saying makes no sense at all. Shut up, he barks, his face turning red for some reason she can't comprehend. You're just a stupid girl. What would you know? At that insult, Izuku finds her face heating up. Yeah, I'm a stupid girl, but I'm not so stupid that I refuse an awesome toy like this. Just shut up. I will not, she spits. This whole day so far, you've threatened me with violence. You call me awful things, and even when I decide to offer you my most precious possession, you refuse to accept it out of some foolish pride. You're a jerk, a cold-hearted bully who only knows how to hurt others. and who's never felt the slightest shred of compassion for anyone else in your life. Before she knows it, he grabs her by the collar of her shirt. He looks straight into her eyes. Under normal circumstances, Izuku probably would have felt her blood go cold. But her blood is boiling right now. You don't know anything about me. Katsuki tells her coldly. Izuku doesn't even blink. I know enough to tell what type of person you are. She replies fiercely and slaps his hand away from her. And I can tell by now that you're not someone who deserves a toy like this, nor are you someone I want to be friends with. Katsuki's gaze is unrelenting, but Izuku doesn't look away. She's not going to back down. She's had enough of crying and cowering in fear. All Might is my idol. He's the greatest hero the world has seen in a long time. She announces, he's noble caring, and when push comes to shove, he always saves the day. He's a person everyone should look up to, a person everyone should try to be like. She looks down at the figure Katsuki had dropped and walks over to pick it up. I'm nothing like him, she says quietly, her eyes mournful as she stares at the figure. She looks back at Katsuki. But neither are you, she says, voice devoid of any emotion. I can see that now. This is it. Izuku's dead. Katsuki is going to kill her for saying that. But Izuku isn't afraid. In fact, it's the first time she's felt so sure of herself. So sure of what she's saying and doing. Is this feeling confidence? She's positive it is. Katsuki's expression is hard to discern. He's clearly angered by her words, but truth be told, she expected a more violent reaction out of him. In fact, she's surprised he hasn't attacked her by now. Then, out of nowhere, he chuckles. Izuku blinks. What? This day has been. So, goddamn. Lame. He mutters and sits on the ground. Izuku's eyes narrow. That's another thing. She snaps, I don't like your language. Didn't your mother ever teach you not to use bad words? Katsuki snorts. Yeah, she did, but only losers actually listen to their parents regarding that type of stuff. He gets back to his feet and stretches his arms. Listen up. Izuku, that's your name, right? Izuku nods, unsure what he's getting at. She doesn't know what to make of his behavior, so far. Katsuki smirks. I figured out what game we're going to play. Atsuki has to admit, while he in no way likes Izuku, he's finding her to be a bit more interesting than how she first presented herself. While she's definitely a whiny crybaby who deserves a good beating or two to set her in place. So far, she's done several things that were actually kind of cool. She offered him a toy that he'd been wanting the second it came out, and to top it off, she had the balls to tell Katsuki to his face what she truly thought of him. Now, while all those things are clearly wrong, Katsuki still somewhat commends the fact that she was able to do it with a straight face. Don't get him wrong, Izuku's still definitely a train wreck of an individual. You just don't cry and pee your pants when you're 8 years old and expect not to get judged for that. That's just not how it works. Everyone knows that. But despite that, there's something in her that he doesn't see often in other sniveling kids his age. Potential. There's something in this girl that could rival his own greatness one day. And while the animalistic part of his mind had been telling him up until now to destroy this girl's capabilities and fragile psyche, while he still can, he just can't. He doesn't want to. At this point, he's far more interested in seeing how this girl will turn out, if she has the right person to guide her. With him being there to influence her, who knows, she might prove to be a formidable rival one day. Or even a formidable friend. Of course, it's a far-fetched idea, but still, it's worth a shot. I figured out what game we're going to play. With just that one line, the atmosphere has suddenly changed. Izuku's at complete loss, and she can't for life of her figure out what Katsuki's playing at. The aura he's radiating is intense and intimidating, but oddly enough, it isn't malicious. If anything, it's almost as though he's excited. Game! Izuku echoes. What dash? He cuts her off. If I win this game, when the day is over, you tell our parents that I'm a saint and that you had the greatest day of your life. And you take back what you said about me being nothing like All Might. Izuku's stunned, but finds herself asking him, and if I win, you pick. If there were a software engineer in the room, they'd be able to detect that Izuku's hard drive has stopped working. Izuku shakes her head violently, trying to wrap her head around what's going on. Why you're not making any sense, Katsuki-kun. Katsuki sighs and rubs his temples. I can't even begin to list all the things you've done today that's pissed me off, Izuku, ranging from your endless blubbering to calling me a jerk and a cold-hearted bully. But if I'm going to be honest, I can let all of that slide. The things you've done so far are definitely stupid, but there's something I can control my temper over. Izuku is suddenly reminded of the anger she felt earlier on, but before she can speak up and let some of it out, he keeps talking. But you know what I'm not going to let slide, he hisses. You've given me this whole speech about how All Might is the greatest hero that exists, and then having the balls to tell me I'm nothing like him. He cracks his knuckles. Let's make something clear. You know nothing about what it means to be a hero. A small fry like you has no right to tell me, of all people, that I'm nothing like All Might. Your view of what makes a person a hero is wrong. Being a hero isn't about being noble or kind or whatever. It's about winning. A hero is someone who always wins. It doesn't matter how they do it. It doesn't matter who gets hurt. It doesn't even matter who or why you're fighting. All that matters is if you win. Izuku can't believe what she's hearing. What kind of messed up mentality is that? She thinks to herself, aghast. By winning this game, I'll prove to you that I've got what it takes to be a pro hero. And if you win, you get to prove to me that you're not a complete loser. I think that sounds reasonably fair. So, are you in or out? Katsuki asks. Wait a second. She exclaims. What sort of game will we even be playing? And why do you get to pick what game we're going to play and what the rewards are? Furthermore, why is she even considering playing a game with him after everything he's done to her so far? She's an idiot. Katsuki furrows his brow and groans in annoyance. Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're the one who's supposed to pick what games we're going to play. He sighs and sits back on the ground, legs crossed. Lame. You still didn't tell me what game you had in mind. Izuku pouts. It doesn't matter, he grunts. It's not something you want to play. Izuku's eyes narrow. You can't know that unless you tell me what it is. Nah, I already know you won't like it. A spineless coward, like you wouldn't be up for it. Rage sears through Izuku. I am not a spineless coward, she squeaks. So just tell me what the game is already. Katsuki's lips curl into a smirk, and he gets back on his feet. Well, since you insist, he says and flicks her nose, prompting Izuku to squeak in alarm. Ow! Katsuki pays her distress no mind. All right, so this is how you play. The rules are simple, really. The first person who manages to hold the other person in a chokehold for longer than 5 seconds wins. Izuku pales. So it's that type of game. She thinks to herself in disdain. Katsuki taps his chin, lost in thought. Let's see. What else? He sighs. I haven't got my quirk yet, so using quirks aren't allowed. He eyes Izuku. What about you? Have you gotten your quirk yet? Izuku shakes her head. Katsuki nods curtly. Anyway, scratching and biting is forbidden. Punches, jabs, and kicks are allowed, but you can't hit one spot on the body repeatedly. Oh, yeah, and you can't hit me in the balls. He pauses, and then points awkwardly in the direction of Izuku's groin, his eyes darting to the ceiling. Nor can I hit you, there. Katsuki then looks at her straight in the eye, his gaze burning into hers. You think you're up for it, nerd? Izuku's lips tremble. Why would you want to play something like this? She asks uneasily. We'll get hurt, and our parents probably wouldn't be okay with us playing a game like this. Katsuki continues to stare at her, but he doesn't reply, or at least not immediately. 15 solid seconds of staring go by before he finally responds. Well, aside from me itching to land some punches on you after all that you did today, there's another reason why I think playing this game will be good for the both of us. He sighs. Because you and me aren't that different. He deadpants. What? Katsuki's expression doesn't change. We both look up to heroes. We both like All Might. And we both want to be heroes one day. His brow furrows and he grabs his chin. Actually, I'm not so sure about that last part, although I get the feeling that I'm not wrong. You do want to be a hero when you grow up. Don't you, Izuku? Izuku feels her face turn red. I don't remember ever telling you that, she mumbles. Katsuki snorts. Yeah, please. You didn't have to. That face tells me everything. Izuku looks at the ground. Of course she wants to be a hero when she grows up. It's all she ever fantasizes about. But it's a dream that's out of her reach, and one she knows she'll never be able to accomplish. Fearfulness and shyness are not what makes a person hero material. So what if I want to be a hero, she says despondently. I already know I don't have what it takes to become one. That isn't true. Izuku's lips slightly part in surprise. What? Katsuki hesitates for a moment. Then he scratches the back of his head, curses under his breath, clicks his tongue. When he decides to finally speak up, Izuku is rendered speechless. You do have what it takes to become a hero, Izuku. The oxygen is buzzing everywhere, and yet Izuku can't breathe. You just need some work. Katsuki drawls. You've never had anyone to push you in the right direction, to bring out the inner fighter in you. Thankfully, you're not a complete lost cause. He points his thumb to himself. You've got the next future #1 hero standing right here, who's going to be a positive influence on you from here on out. Before Izuku has a chance to reply, Katsuki beckons his right hand towards her. You want to be a hero? Then step up. Rise to the challenge that's in front of you. Show me again that girl who had the guts to tell me off to my face. Izuku should just leave. She should have told on Katsuki the second he threatened to break her door down. She shouldn't even entertain the idea of playing this sort of game with a ruffian like him. He did so many terrible things to her so far. She should just not even bother. And yet, she finds herself unable to move. She's mesmerized. Katsuki continues, his voice solemn. My quirk may not have come in yet, but when it does, I know that it'll be best the world has seen in a long time, even better than All Might's. How can he say that with such confidence? Izuku thinks to herself in awe, and when it does, I swear, I'll put my everything into mastering that quirk, to honing my abilities as a hero. It's not a dream. It's something I know will become a reality. I won't let anybody get in my way of becoming the best. If that's the same dream you have, Izuku, then fight for it. Let's see who's more qualified to become #1. If Izuku weren't so distracted by the strange feelings arising in her stomach, she would have laughed. It's weird how she doesn't see a tyrannical spoiled brat in front of her anymore. Katsuki now shines before her like a ray of sunlight. His words burn into her very being, but without the sun, Izuku wouldn't be able to sustain herself. What Katsuki's told her, ranging from his belief that she could become a hero one day, to his promise of being there to support her dream, to his sheer confidence and determination to fight for the position of becoming the #1 hero, are things she's wanted to hear for so long now, from anyone her age. Izuku didn't realize it then, but later in life, she'll come to realize that was the moment she fell in love with Katsuki Bakugo. Izuku half smiles. All right, I'll do it. Katsuki grins. That's the spirit. I gotta say, I thought you'd chicken out. Glad to see that you haven't. I've never done this before, so odds are I'll lose. That being said, if you win, I'd like you to teach me how you won. If I'm going to be a hero one day, I have to start learning some fighting techniques as soon as possible. Izuku replies. Katsuki's eyes glimmer. Will do, but don't forfeit the match before it's even begun. Anyway, you got any idea what your reward should be? Izuku shakes her head. Katsuki sighs. Well, you'll have plenty of time to figure out by the time the day's over. He gets into a fighting stance. You ready? Izuku shakily raises her fist defensively. Not exactly, but I'm not going to back down. Let's begin then. That's longer than 5 seconds. Let me go now. Ow! You're hurting me. Izuku gasps in surprise and releases her hold on Katsuki. Katsuki touches his neck, taking in deep, sharp breaths. Sorry, she exclaims, and tries to place a hand on his shoulder, worried. Katsuki swats her hand away from him. Don't touch me. He rasps between heavy breaths, his voice oozing toxic fumes. Izuku blinks, and as she comes to her senses, it hits her. She's won the game. She's surprised she did, and even more surprised that she got out of this game with barely a scratch. All she did was dodge and run away from most of Katsuki's blows. And once she noticed that Katsuki had tired himself out, she took advantage of the opportunity and got him in her clutches. This was the only strategy she knew she could employ, seeing as she's never fought before. She doesn't have time to feel satisfied over her victory, though. She's more concerned over Katsuki's well-being, physical and emotional. I didn't hurt him too much, did I? It was only for a couple seconds. Oh gosh, how is he to take losing against me? He's bound to get mad. Dang it, what should I do? Katsuki snaps her out of her thoughts. I can't believe you actually won, he says, his voice more clear now. He retracts his hand from his neck. You won. Against me of all people. He whispers. He grits his teeth, balls his fists, and Izuku braces herself for his wrath, but instead, he turns away from her and sits on the ground. Katsuki-kun, don't talk to me right now. Izuku obeys his wish. Him losing was definitely a huge blow to his pride, so offering him silence is the least she can do for him right now. 30 seconds of silence pass on by. It's become apparent that Katsuki is doing everything within his power to keep his anger under wraps, something Izuku is gratefully surprised by. Then he speaks. You're awesome. In an instant, Izuku's entire face, no, her entire body, turns red. W what? Katsuki hesitates. You're awesome. Izuku. Okay, this definitely was not the same boy who nearly put a fist through her face earlier on that day. And also, why is she blushing of all things? I thought you said I was the lamest person you ever met, she replies. Among other terrible things he called her. Well, sometimes even great people like me can misjudge a person's character, all right, he retorts. Upon closer inspection, Izuku realizes that he's blushing as well. Seriously, just what is going on? You didn't know what you were getting into, and yet you still agreed to play this sort of game with me. He inhales. And aside from that, you thought of a pretty good strategy on how to beat me. So, all those things do make you kind of cool. Izuku scratches the back of her neck. You're being really nice to me. It's weird, she admits, her cheeks still crimson. Katsuki doesn't reply, or at least not immediately. He wasn't trying to be nice. He just... In fact, why did he dish out those compliments to her? And why isn't he that angry over the fact that she beat him? No, he is angry. He just somehow doesn't have it in him to take it out on her. After everything she's shown to him so far about her personality, it wouldn't be fair of him to do that. Taking out his anger on her is something a cold-hearted bully would do. And he's not a cold-hearted bully, even if she thinks he is. He just gets pissed easily often. That being said, he doesn't even want to be a little ball of unjustified rage anymore. Is this how being a loser feels like? He laughs inwardly. Knowing that he lost to Izuku in a game he's normally good at really does teach a person a good thing or two about humility. Not to mention, it hurts. Hurts so much that all his anger fades and is replaced with an emotion that he rarely ever allows to grab a hold of him. And with that, Katsuki's walls are broken down and he cries. Katsuki-kun? Izuku calls out. Stop pitying me, Izuku, although he knows very well that he deserves to be pitied for the failure of a person that he is. You're not superior to me, Izuku, after all of this. You're just not... He knows he's lying to himself. But the lies he's telling himself are all he can do to try and keep his tears from falling. Regarding the kids' vocabulary in this FIC, I've been told that the way they've been talking might be a tad advanced for kids their age. This is something I've been aware of since the beginning, and have been taking into consideration as I write. But at the end of the day, I don't want to sacrifice the storytelling for the sake of dumbing down their dialogue to fit their age. So just roll with it, guys. Watching Katsuki cry is excruciating, but Izuku knows that if she tries to shower Katsuki with words of support right now, it would only serve to make things worse. So she sits down beside him, legs crisscrossed, looks at the ground, and waits for him to get all of his pent-up emotions out. And she doesn't even take how much time passes into consideration. At some point, the sniffles and whimpers gradually decease. Izuku doesn't say anything, though. She waits for Katsuki to be the first one to speak up. And like before, she doesn't mind waiting. You know, I was convinced you were faking earlier today. He finally says, albeit quietly. She looks at him. What do you mean? His eyes are swollen, but they aren't producing tears anymore. I'm talking about you hiding behind your closet to avoid meeting me, and hiding in other places whenever guests you didn't want to meet came over. Izuka bites her lip. She didn't know Katsuki knew that last piece of information. Her mother must have told him. I didn't think you did those things because you were actually shy. I was certain it was just an act at first. The fact that he thought she was faking her shyness distressed her. What made you realize that it wasn't? Seeing you pee your pants. He says flatly, I don't think any kid would take an act that far. Embarrassment washes over Izuku as the memory of what she did earlier that day resurfaces. She isn't given time to dwell on it, as Katsuki cuts off her train of thought. Why were you so shy and scared to meet me? He asks plainly. And why would you hate yourself so much that you'd offer me one of your most precious possessions? I just don't get it. Izuka's brow furrows as she contemplates Katsuki's question. She's never thought about why she has such low self-esteem before. It could have to do with the fact that, well, I don't have any friends. She replies, I'm teased by other girls my age at my school for liking boy things, and boys just think I'm plain weird for liking the same things they do. So both of them avoid me, never let me play games with them, and call me names. It's always been like that, so at some point, I just gave up on trying to make friends. It's easier to play with yourself than to have other kids make fun of you all the time. But that couldn't be the only reason, could it? She pauses as she tries to remember what else has happened in her life that resulted in her becoming an excessive wallflower. Her mother was probably least responsible for her turning out the way she is. She's nothing but patient and understanding. Her father, on the other hand, Hisashi is rarely present in her life, as his workload is more demanding than Inko's. But when he does spend time with Izuku, he yells. A lot. At both Izuku and Inko. He's never raised a hand against the two of them, but a lot of his words sting to this very day. She shifts her gaze back to the ground as she recalls numerous sentences her father has told her in the past. Izuku, you need to start acting more like a girl. You're not meant for this hero business. Izuku, what did I tell you about watching those types of TV shows? Stop bothering me right now. I can't entertain you. I have work to do. Izuku, you aren't a boy. Quit acting like one. Because of this, Izuku has never formulated a solid opinion on her father. He does his best to take care of both Inko and her with his job, that she knows. But she doesn't know if all that means she has an obligation to like him. She'd rather be around her mother as opposed to Hisashi. She's relieved that Hisashi wasn't there to witness her wedding herself today. He wouldn't have taken it well. There's also my dad, she says at last. He gets really mad easily at both me and my mom. You know that figure I want to give you? Well, my dad basically snapped when he saw that my mom bought it for me. He said that her buying me a boy's toy would make me confused about my identity as a girl or something. He even wanted to throw it out, but my mom managed to convince him otherwise. I see, he replies and then scoffs. I swear, why are boys and girls constantly treated so differently? I never got that. Me neither. It's lame. You can say that again. Then silence. Before, I'm sorry. Katsuki says with an air of resignation. Silence again. What? Izuku says in alarm. Gee, what? Sure seems to be turning into her catchphrase. Sorry. For what? Katsuki throat grumbles before he repeats himself. I'm sorry for how I've been acting. I've been a jerk. And I've been acting like a cold-hearted bully. Like you said. You were right to call me those things. I really didn't want to be here today. My mom basically dragged me here against my will. And then she even told me that I couldn't play what I wanted. I'm just the sort of person who hates not getting what I want. More so than other kids our age. I want to spend the day playing heroes and villains with my friends. Not namby-pamby prissy games with a girl, which is what I thought would happen once I came here. So, yeah, I'm sorry for every bad thing I've done to you so far. I had my reasons. Throughout his whole apology, he's been fumbling with his fingers. This is actually the first time he's genuinely apologized before to anyone. Apologies are something he's always been against dealing, but that's changed now. It's a foreign feeling, telling someone you're sorry for something, but he hopes he did it justice. He can't bring himself to make eye contact with Izuku, but judging from her lack of an immediate reply, she's probably stunned. I know I said I thought you were lame, but if we're going to be honest, I'm the lame one out of two of us. He adds begrudgingly, "You aren't lame, Katsuki-kun. Don't say that about yourself." He sneers. "Please, the list of lame things I've done today are endless. Don't make me list them all." Suddenly, Izuku clasps her hands over his own. Katsuki blinks. The hell is she doing? Katsuki-kun, that game we played, I didn't even know half of what I was doing. And you were really close to beating me a lot of times. Oh, hell no. He is not going to listen to her attempts at comforting him. "Don't bother trying to make me feel better," he snaps and wriggles his hands out her own. Close isn't good enough. A hero is supposed to always win. There's more to being a hero than winning all the time, Katsuki-kun. She says firmly, God, why is she so stubborn? She needs to just shut up. Yeah, no. Suddenly, she's grabbed him by the collar, and her nose is an alarmingly few inches away from his face. Katsuki-kun, the only reason I won is because you gave me the confidence to try and fight for my dream. You made me believe in myself in a way that I never have before. I didn't think I had fight in me, but you were right. All I needed was someone to give me a push in the right direction. You changed something in me, and if that's not heroic, then I don't know what is. Katsuki doesn't why, but Izuku's words cause a fierce blush to spread across his face. He places his hands on her chest and pushes her away. Right, he mutters, unable to look her in the face. Crap, why does he feel so lightheaded? And why does his heart feel like it's about to explode out of his chest? All these feelings are just further confirmation of how lame he is. He concludes. Izuku then suddenly gets to her feet. I know what I want for my reward now. Katsuki blinks and looks back up at her. Huh, you said you want to play heroes and villains with your friends today, right? She smiles. A really damn cute one, if he's going to be honest. Well, Katsuki-kun, I want to play that game too. So let's go and turn our wishes into reality, shall we? This girl is going to be the death of him one day. Do you really have to leave so soon? Inko says wistfully. Izuku grabs the fabric of her pants tightly. Mitsuki nods. Unfortunately, yes. I just remembered that Katsuki has a dentist appointment later today, so we need to be heading out as soon as possible if we want to make it on time. Mitsuki looks down at Izuku, although Izuku can't bring it in her to return the older woman's gaze. So, did you have a fun day, Izuku-chan? She asks, smiling. Fun? Please. Fun is too weak a word to describe how amazing her day was. Izuku never figured how much she'd enjoy this day, especially considering how awful it started. The first game she played with Katsuki was all right in itself, a challenge that brought out something in her never seen before. But the next game they played was pure bliss. She'd always wanted to play heroes and villains with someone before, but the opportunity had never presented itself. Until today. Words could not describe how enjoyable it was. Izuku insisted to Katsuki that she be the hero first, something he reluctantly accepted, considering she won the last game. After a few minutes of figuring out what their powers and names should be, they began to play. My name is Tempest Gal, and in the name of all that's good, I will put a stop to you, Cobra Fong. Oh yeah? Try me. You're no match against me and my reptile minions. It was a sort of game that demanded creativity and pure imagination. Izuku didn't keep track of how long they played it for. Time was the last thing on her mind as she let herself get lost in the excitement of the game. But regardless, she wishes that they could have played it longer. She wishes that Katsuki would stay longer. She doesn't want him to leave. Not yet. Izuku-chan. Mitsuki calls out again, but Izuku can't bring herself to speak. Sadness has taken hold on her, and all she can think about is how depressed she'll be once Katsuki leaves. She doesn't want him to go. Katsuki's the first kid her age who's played with her. Katsuki's the first kid her age who believes in her. Katsuki's the first person who she's ever had so much fun with. And now, that same person is going to leave. Izuku can't help it anymore. She cries. Mitsuki takes this the wrong way and whirls around to face Katsuki, who's been standing behind the blonde-haired woman the whole time. Kakin. Mitsuki begins, venom dripping from her voice, and advances towards him. What did you do? Sweat beads down Katsuki's forehead as he walks backwards. And me? Crap, what could he say? Izuku suddenly then realizes how she's coming across, and wipes her tears. Wait, he didn't do anything wrong. Izuku speaks up. Sweetie, there's no need to defend him. Mitsuki cracks her knuckles in a similar way Katsuki did earlier today. I can already see in his beady little eyes that he's guilty. Izuku shakes her head fervently and grabs Mitsuki's shirt before she can do anything. Wait, I'm serious. I'm not crying because of Katsuki-kun. Mitsuki raises a brow and lowers her fists. Izuku takes in deep breaths as she tries to regain her composure. I am crying because of him, but not in the way you think. I'm crying because he's leaving. She murmurs, then clears her throat to speak a bit louder. Katsuki's the coolest person I've ever met, and the first person who made me believe in myself in a way I never have before. Izuku then looks at Katsuki, her eyes warm. Today was the most fun I've ever had in my life. At her words, Katsuki's face turns into the color of a bad sunburn, and under that blonde hair, it has the effect of making his head look like it's on fire. Why, yeah, I had fun too, I guess, he mumbles feebly, averting his gaze from anyone else in the room. Mitsuki and Inko both exchange confused glances, both blink, then smile. Well. Mitsuki chuckles, nudges Inko with an elbow, and Katsuki knows he's about to dread whatever she's about to say. I could be wrong, but I think we're witnessing the beginning of love here. At that little comment, Katsuki's circuit explodes. What? He shouts, his face and body, it's almost quite literally ablaze. What are you even talking about, Mom? Inko and Mitsuki both giggle, but Izuku is silent. She's confused. What do you mean by that? The young girl asks Mitsuki, dazed. Oh, you'll both understand when you're older. Mitsuki replies, then looks smugly at Katsuki. I hate you, he tells his mother flatly. Don't think I won't ground you for telling me that in public. The older woman chirps and taps his nose gracefully. Katsuki scoffs. Yeah, his mother is definitely still drunk. Anyway, Mitsuki yawns. We'd better get going now. When will I get to see Katsuki-kun again? Izuku asks, glancing at both Inko and Mitsuki. She doesn't want to come across as needy, but Mitsuki smiles. Can't say when exactly, but we'll arrange another playdate as soon we can. Mitsuki looks at both Inko and Katsuki for confirmation. Does that sound all right with the both of you? Inko nods gleefully. Realizing that Katsuki hasn't said anything, Mitsuki smirks. Kakin? His mother asks. Katsuki flinches, and Mitsuki finds it hilarious that his face is still red after all of this. Why, yeah, I guess another playdate would be all right. He replies tartly. Mitsuki's eyes glitter. Well, we'd best be on our way then. Wait! Izuku exclaims. Without warning, Katsuki is put into a tight embrace, an act which nearly has him tumbling over. I'll miss you, Izuku mumbles into his ear. Katsuki's paralyzed. He can't wrap his head around this girl's actions. At all. Mitsuki is unusually silent as she drives Katsuki home. This causes him to get rightfully suspicious. Why are you so quiet, old hag? He starts menacingly. On cue, Mitsuki grins. Me? I could be asking you that, Kakin. Week has passed since the day Izuku first met Katsuki Bakugo. Since then, the fantastic day they had is all she's been thinking about. Well, when she isn't thinking about school and how in a couple days, she'll be starting her first day at the same school Katsuki goes to. That is, her family is moving again in a couple weeks, and due to this, they've already enrolled her in the one closest to their new neighborhood. Interestingly enough, this school happens to the same one Katsuki goes to, according to Inko at least. So one can only imagine how thrilled Izuku was when she heard the news. Not only is she going to a new school, free of the kids who picked on her in the past. But Katsuki's going to be there. She'll get to see and play with him every day. And to top it all off, their neighborhoods are practically next to one another's, so that means they'll be able to have more frequent playdates from here on out. It'd be even cooler if they were in the same class. Although, Izuka knows that might be asking for too much. Regardless, she's ecstatic. Because of this, she doesn't badger her mother about seeing Katsuki again, as there isn't much of a point. They'll be seeing each other again quite soon. And as Izuka prepares herself for sleep, she wonders if Katsuki is equally thrilled about the situation as she is, and if he wants to see her again as much as she does. She supposes she'll find out on the first day. What are you doing here? This is hardly the reaction Izuka was hoping for. Katsuki, you know this girl? A boy next to Katsuki asks, and scrutinizes Izuku from head to toe. Despite the fact that Izuka's been receiving curious glances from nearly all of her new peers as they wait in front of the classroom for the teacher to come, Izuku doesn't pay them any mind. Be quiet. Tsubasa, I'm not talking to you. Katsuki snaps, prompting the said boy in question to recoil. Your mom didn't tell you I'd be joining your school? Izuku replies in confusion. Your what? He shouts, pointing a finger at her. Apparently not. Izuku gulps. Is it me, or is he not all that happy to see me? I've enrolled at your school, she says coolly. Is there something wrong with that? Katsuki's eyes widen. I can't believe this, he mutters and smacks his forehead. My mom didn't tell me this on purpose, I bet. She probably wanted it to be a surprise, or something. Stupid old hag. An older woman's voice comes from behind all of them and cuts him off. All right, children, I've arrived. You may come inside now. As they all enter the classroom, Izuku can only think about one thing. Enrolling in the same school as Katsuki Bakugo better not have been a mistake. By the time recess rolls around, Katsuki doesn't so much as blink at Izuku as he exits the classroom. Bewilderment simmers within Izuku. Is he avoiding me? She thought that after the day when they played that he, well, at the very least, wouldn't ignore her like this. On one hand, Izuka shouldn't feel so entitled for his attention. On the other, she thought that after everything that had transpired that day, that he viewed her as well, a friend, not just another acquaintance. She thought that he'd at least greet her once class was over. Against her better judgment, she decides to follow him to wherever he's headed. As Katsuki walks over the school playground with three of his friends, all he thinks about is one thing. Izuka Midoriya being enrolled at his school is probably the worst thing that's happened to him. Why? Well, for one, he does not want to be seen walking around campus with a girl by his side. He has a reputation to maintain. Maybe he doesn't think all girls are lame, but his friends do. And he doesn't want anyone thinking he's gone soft because he's befriended a girl. 2. Izuku hanging out with him and his friends would not end well. The games he and his friends are way too rough. Rougher than what he's played with Izuku, and he knows that she wouldn't be able to handle it. Not with the way she is now, at least. And 3, Izuka does weird things to his stomach and to his brain. For whatever reason, he kept thinking about her for days on end after that day they played, and whenever he did, it had caused him to feel a weird, fuzzy feeling in his insides. And when he told his mom about this, her laughter basically confirmed to him that all he's feeling is definitely not a good thing. So, now that he's gotten all those reasons out of the way, it's fair to say that he's completely justified for not wanting to be anywhere near her while they're at school. And well, Izuku should just have to deal with that fact. Katsuki, what's up? His friend, Taichi, beckons. You look really messed up, dude. I'm fine, he insists. His friends can't know what's got him so worked up. They continue walking for a good minute or so, and they finally reach their destination, the playground, specifically the tire swing. Where's Kairi? Katsuki frets, referring to another friend of his from another class. Don't tell me he's still homesick. Katsuki-kun. A shrill voice calls out from afar, behind him. Please don't tell me that's who I think it is. He inwardly begs. He doesn't turn around. He doesn't want to find out who it is, although he already knows. Tuji, another friend of his, raises a brow. Katsuki, I think that girl over there is calling you. Katsuki laughs nervously. G-girl? Please, Tuji, you're being ridiculous. There's no girl calling me. Oh, yeah. His third friend, Yuki, then turns Katsuki around. Then who's that? Katsuki bites his lip. A familiar green-haired girl stands 6 meters before them and is growing closer with every step she takes. Katsuki gulps as he takes in her appearance. He saw how she looked before, but now's the first time today he soaks in her appearance. She's dressed more girly than the last time he saw her. He dare even say she's rather cute today if he weren't distracted by the fact that he really doesn't want her here. A white t-shirt, pink skirt, and pink shoes that sparkle on their sides make for an interesting combination. Her shoulder-length hair that was otherwise let down the last time he saw her is now tied into a ponytail, and she's sporting a yellow butterfly headband as a nice detail. He supposes Inko dolled her up specifically because it's the first day of school, but while Katsuki can appreciate her aesthetics, that doesn't mean that his friends will. Why did she have to dress so goddamn girly today? He wants to wail, "Hi, Katsuki-kun." Izuku beckons, having caught up to them. "What are you up to?" Katsuki pauses as he considers pretending he doesn't know her. "Who's she?" Taichi asks. Izuku hesitates for a moment, then decides to offer her hand out to Taichi. Hi, pleased to meet you," she stammers, then wills herself to speak more eloquently. "My name's Izuku, Midoriya. Me and Katsuki are—" "We met each other last week." Katsuki cuts her off. He sure as hell isn't letting Izuku talk this one out. "My mom and her mom are colleagues." Izuku nods excitedly, unaware that Katsuki deliberately chose the vaguest explanation as to what their relationship is. "Oh," the three of his friends all say in unison. "What are guys playing?" She asks, eyes glimmering with warmth. "Can I play too?" Before she can finish her sentence, Katsuki's firmly grabbed her hand and has started taking her to the other side of the playground. "We need to have a talk," is all he says. Once they reach the part of the playground that's relatively obscured from the gaze of his friends, Katsuki decides that it's time to lay out some ground rules for Izuku. "What did you want to talk about, Katsuki-kun?" The obliviousness in her tone almost make him feel guilty for having to tell her this. Almost. "We can't been seen together at school, Izuku." There's no nice way of putting it. Izuku face falls. "Why is that?" "I don't know exactly how things were at your old school, but here, it's not normal for a boy and a girl to be openly friends. We'd be the laughingstock of the whole school." "Well, okay, that was a lie. They wouldn't be the laughingstock of the whole school, but Katsuki would be among his friends, which is good enough for him." Izuku looks crestfallen. Damn it. Why is she making this harder than it needs to be? Is that the only reason? She asks, her voice pained. Katsuki hesitates. It isn't, but it's the only reason she needs to know right now. She should understand, though, it's a completely valid reason for them not to hang out with one another. "Yes," he replies. Izuku doesn't say anything at first, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that she's hurt. "I see." He sees now that tears have started welling up in her eyes. She brushes them off and slowly begins to walk away. "But, Katsuki-kun, I wouldn't have minded getting laughed at if it meant I could have been your friend." For whatever reason, when Katsuki returns to the tire swing, everyone is looking at him with smug grins on their faces. "What?" he asks. "We didn't know you had a girlfriend, Katsuki." Taichi smirks. "She is not my girlfriend." All three of the boys exchange glances, laugh, and start to sing simultaneously. Izuku and Katsuki sitting in a tree, Kayasasinji. "Be quiet!" Katsuki yells. He's as close to punching the living daylights out of them, even though he's outnumbered. He's just not going to accept being made fun of for something like this. They continue laughing, though. "Suyer," Taichi remarks sarcastically. "Then what is she?" "It's like I said. I met her a week ago. My mom had to do some work-related stuff with her mom at their house, so she dragged me along so that Izuku would have someone to entertain her." "You didn't mention that last part, Katsuki." Tuji grins. "It was basically a play date, wasn't it? Bet you had the time of your life playing house and dolls with her, didn't you?" Makes sense, seeing how happy she was to see you. As if... They all laugh again. Okay, they asked for it. He grabs all three of them by the collar of their shirts. You guys make fun of me one more time, and I'll break all of your guys' legs right here before I stand. He spits. Geez, chill out, Katsuki. Taichi sneers and wriggles himself out of Katsuki's grip. We're messing around. There's no need to get so worked up. Taichi smirks again. Over girl. Well, it's annoying, Katsuki retorts. Find a better reason to make fun of someone. Why didn't you tell me that Izuku joined my school? Katsuki demands as he walks home with his mother from school. Mitsuki smirks. Oh, I didn't? It must have slipped my mind. Katsuki whines. Mitsuki chuckles and pats Katsuki's head 2 times. Come on, Katsuki. All you've been obsessing over for the last week is Izuku-chan. If I told you she'd be joining your school, you probably wouldn't be able to sleep well for a couple days, and I couldn't have you be sleep-deprived in time for school. Everything his mother just said is a complete exaggeration. He crosses his arms. I would have slept just fine, and I have not been obsessing over her. Really? Because those dozens of drawings of you and her in your sketchbook tell me a different story. Katsuki's face turns into a dark shade of crimson. Who gave you the right to go through my sketchbook? At his reaction, Mitsuki guffaws. Oh, please, Katsuki. You're making a big deal out of nothing. I'm your mother. I have a right to these things. So you got a little crush. It's no big deal. But next time, if you don't want anyone to look through your sketchbook, you should probably hide it better. I do not have a crush on anybody. Sure, whatever you say, Kakin. Why is his mother so eager to get on his nerves? And stop calling me that. I'm not a baby anymore. Why? You know it's a cute nickname. Mitsuki's smile turns feral. I bet you wouldn't mind if Izuku-chan called you that. Okay, now he knows for sure that his mom is a sadist. Can you quit already? He bawls. His mother chuckles again and strokes Katsuki's head. Relax, Buster. I'm only teasing. Katsuki pouts. And although he tries, the blush that surfaces on his face as a result of his mother's tactless commentary refuses to go away. So, tell me, Mitsuki starts. How was school today? Did you have a nice day? Katsuki doesn't reply. What's the matter? Mitsuki jokes. Did Izuku do something to upset you? Shut up. His cold, distant response is jarring to both him and Mitsuki stops in her tracks. Katsuki, is everything all right? She asks, her voice now anxious. Nothing's wrong. It's just... He looks up at his mother, eyes round as saucers. Mama, do you think it's weird for a boy and a girl to be friends? Mitsuki eyes glimmer. Just friends. Katsuki rolls his eyes. Yes. Generally speaking, at that age, it's exactly not common, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't have introduced you to Izuku-chan if I thought it were strange. Why do you ask? He stares off into the distance. No reason in particular. What's wrong, Izuku? You seem a bit down. I'm fine, I'm just really tired is all. Izuku replies as she strolls on with her mother home. She's not going to bring up Katsuki and how she's felt miserable the whole day for what he did to her. She's just not. 3 days pass, and Katsuki and Izuku haven't spoken at all since their last encounter. And so far, Katsuki isn't so sure he's happy with this predicament. Izuku treats him as if he doesn't exist, and doesn't so much as look at him. And while he shouldn't be surprised, as this was what he requested from her, for some reason, it really annoys him. So, after deep contemplation, he decides he's going to call off this arrangement. Sure, they might get laughed at and judged. But to be fair, Katsuki shouldn't have cared about that in the first place. He'll just beat up anybody who mocks them. An easy solution to an otherwise stupid problem. Before he can do anything, though, Izuku practically runs out of the classroom when the bell rings for their first recess. Great. Now he's going to have to search for her. Katsuki inwardly groans. It's no use. He can't find her. He's searched everywhere. The jungle gym, the swings, the monkey bars, the basketball court. Their playing area isn't so big that God knows where she could be. He feels like a dumbass. Half of his recess is already over, and he could have spent it playing with his friends. Now that he thinks about it, there's only one more place where she could be. The sandbox. But his thoughts are interrupted when a cluster of voices call out to him. "Hey, Katsuki!" Katsuki whirls around to find two of his friends approaching him, Kairi and Yuki. "Oh, sup, guys?" Katsuki says casually, "Where have you been?" Yuki begins. "All the boys are down by the basketball court playing basketball. Why aren't you there with us?" Katsuki falters. Well, I've been looking for Taichi. I need to talk to him, but I can't find him anywhere." "Dude, I don't know where you've been looking, but Taichi's at the basketball court." Kairi tells Katsuki and tugs his arm. "So let's hurry over there and play before recess is over." Katsuki groans and decides to roll with it. He'll find another opportunity to talk to Izuku today. It's not like this is their last recess. "All right, let's go," he says, and Yuki runs ahead of them. Before Katsuki can run along with him, Kairi stops him. "Hold on, Katsuki." He grins. "Before we go, I want to show you something really cool." Kairi rummages through his left pocket and pulls out something Katsuki finds oddly familiar. "Pretty neat, eh?" Katsuki blinks. "Is that the limited edition figure of All Might?" "You guessed right," Kairi chirps and hands the figure in question to Katsuki. "I'll trade it to you for that deluxe Endeavor figure you brought to school the other day." Was always a bigger fan of him than All Might. Katsuki can't believe his luck. He's wanted that figure since the first day he saw it come out a couple weeks ago on TV. But the blonde's parents wouldn't let him have it. They claimed it was too expensive and that he had too many toys already. But now, he finally has a chance to own it for himself. "Where did you get this figure?" he asks as he analyzes the figure from its head to toe. He received the first half of his answer upon noticing that the name, Izuku, is written under All Might's shoe with what Katsuki presumes to be a Sharpie. "Well, kid, you gonna give us your hero cards? Or what? We haven't got all day." Izuku didn't expect that showing her hero toys to a couple of boys from another class would result in them gathering around her in a circle and bullying her into handing them over to them. She just wanted to make some friends with the same interests as her. And now, the same people she tried to befriend, they already managed to take her favorite action figure, and now they want all of her hero trading cards. This is so unfair. You guys already took my All Might figure. I'm not going to give you my hero cards, too. One of the boys then pushes her to ground. She falls on her, and sand slinks into her skirt and underwear. "Gee, gross," she thinks to herself in disgust. "We're not giving you a choice, girlie," one of the boys spit. "Either you give us all your hero cards, or by the end of recess, your skirt's not going to be the only thing covered in sand." Izuku shuts her eyes tightly. "Oi!" The green-haired girl's eyes bolt open. She knows that voice. "Ah, good to see you, Bakugo!" One of the boys chirps, and walks over to give the aforementioned boy in question a high five. "Say, why don't you help us with?" "Just what do you guys think you're doing?" Katsuki demands. All of the boys exchange confused glances between each other. One of them then pipes up, oblivious to Katsuki's rage. "You won't believe it, but Bakugo, this dumb girl asked if she could be our friend. Can you believe it? What type of lame-o asks that sort of question to people?" We laughed. Told her she's out of her mind, but then she thought she could impress us by showing us some of her toys that she probably stole from one of the boys from another class. "I didn't steal anything. Those toys are rightfully mine." Izuku insists. The same boy in question snorts. "You expect us to believe that a prissy girl like you owns such cool toys? You're even dumber than you look." He turns back to Katsuki. "Anyway, long story short, we're telling this sissy girl to fork over her hero cards. They're better off in our hands, seeing as they're stolen anyway. Want to help?" "Do I want to help?" Katsuki echoes in disbelief. "What the hell is wrong with you guys?" "Oh, please, Katsuki." Another boy speaks. "Quit acting like you're better than us. Last year in the first grade, all you ever did was pick on everyone. You picked on the girls, too. Loser. You don't even know the meaning of being picked on." Katsuki drawls, staring at his nails. The cold, ferocious glare he then sends all four of the boys cause them all to flinch. "You chose the wrong girl to harass." Katsuki says darkly, "Do yourselves a favor and run along before one of you gets hurt." One of them scoffs. "What? You're defending this weakling. That's not like you." "Why, yeah." Another one chimes in. "And plus, you don't scare us. You're outnumbered 4-1. Do I have to repeat myself?" Katsuki snarls. "Beat it." "Hate to break it to you, Katsuki." The third boy begins, his tone downright villainous. "But we're the ones in control here. Lay off, or we'll make you wish you had." The three boys narrow their eyes and get into fighting stances, but the fourth boy tugs on all three of their arms. "Guys, we probably shouldn't fight him." He whispers into their ears. "Don't forget, Bakugo's the same kid who beat up 3 kids at once pretty badly last year in the 1st grade. "So," the third boy grumbles quietly, "there were 3 of them, and there's 4 of us. Besides, we can't just stand there and do nothing like a couple of cowards. I'm not going to let you hurt Kakin." Katsuki doesn't know what's more surprising: seeing Izuka get up from the ground with her fists raised, or hearing her call him his trashy nickname. How, in God's name, did she remember that nickname? And why the hell is she calling me that nickname in public? To his dismay, what Izuka said doesn't go unnoticed by the boys. "Kakin," one of them repeats, and turns to Katsuki. "Is that cutesy nickname yours?" When Katsuki fails to give them an answer for 10 seconds, they all burst into laughter. Oh, God, this is hilarious. Who would have guessed that the so-called toughest kid in the 2nd grade has a nickname like that? This is priceless. Rage boils within Katsuki, but before he can give these boys a piece of his mind, or in this case, fist, Izuku beats him to it. He can hardly believe what he's seeing. Did Izuku just punch one of them in the nose? Ow! The boy on the receiving end of the injury yelps. Upon closer inspection, one can see that his nose is bleeding. "Hey, girl, that really hurts." Izuku blinks slowly, not completely conscious of what she's done, before it dawns on her. "Well, it serves you right." Izuka squeaks. "You shouldn't laugh at people like that, nor should you be bullying people into giving you their belongings." "Ack, that really hurts," he exclaims as he grabs his nose with one hand to prevent it from bleeding further. The rest of the boys exchange worried looks between each other. Screw the fight. The boy bleeding says at last, "We're telling on you." He flees, and after a moment's hesitation, the rest of the boys follow suit. "Hey, get back here." Katsuki shouts and is about to run after them, before Izuka shakes her head. "Let them go." Izuku tells Katsuki, "If we get into a real fight with them, we won't stand a chance. They got us outnumbered." "So? I beat up 3 kids once in the 1st grade. If you fought alongside me, we could have taken them easily." Izuku faces a direction in which the boys left. "Well, they're gone now. There's nothing left we can really do. Besides, it's best if we don't get into a real fight. And if we get the teachers involved, then we can explain to them what really happened." Katsuki sighs. "Sure, whatever you say." He analyzes her. "What did they do to you exactly?" Izuku rubs the back of her neck. "Well, it's like that boy said." She begins despondently. "I asked them if I could be their friend. They laughed. And I thought if I showed them some of my toys, they'd accept me." She laughs bitterly. "I couldn't be more wrong. After that, one of them flat out grabbed my all-might figure out of my hands before I could even blink, and then ran off." Katsuki scoffs. "Yeah, that was Kairi. Jerk. Then they got around me in a circle, told me I stole the toys, and demanded that I hand over the rest of them, my hero cards. When I told them no, they pushed me to the ground, and well, that's when you came." Katsuki bristles at the thought of them laying a finger on her. "You're not hurt, are you?" She shakes her head. "I got some sand in my skirt and underwear, but aside from that, I'm fine." Tick, I can't believe them. He then rummages through his pocket and pulls out her all-might figure. "Here's your doll, action figure back." "How did you?" "Kairi told me what he did. Needless to say, he told the wrong person that." "You didn't hurt him, did you?" "Nah, he knows what I can do to him when I want to. So he gave me your toy back without much of a fight." He pauses. "But I wanted to." He says finally, "I see." She holds a figure tightly to her chest and looks at the ground, pink thinly dusting her cheeks. "Why did you help me?" She asks. "I thought that you didn't want to even be seen around me." "Well, about that," he starts. "I actually spent almost the whole recess looking for you to apologize. I thought about what I did and realized it was a dumb decision. People will judge if we're seen together. Yeah, but that shouldn't have mattered in the first place. I can always just beat them up if anyone makes fun of us. There's no need for violence. Izuka tries, raising both her hands. We should try to avoid it as much as possible." Katsuki looks at her as if that's the dumbest thing she's ever said. Heroes talk with their fists, not with their mouths. He says flatly, then stops. "Besides, if I remember right, you're the one who put a fist through that guy's nose." Izuka blushes. She inhales. I couldn't just stand there and let them laugh at you." Katsuki, in turn, feels his cheeks heat up. He coughs and decides to ignore what she just said. That being said, "I gotta say, Izuku, what did you back that was pretty cool? I don't think I've ever seen a girl hit a boy in the face before." Izuka sighs. She's not so sure how much praise she should be receiving for having inflicted pain on another human being. But having Katsuki call her cool is nice, she supposes. "I just hope I won't get in too much trouble. I did hurt him at the end of the day." Katsuki waves his hand dismissively. "Don't worry. We'll just explain to the teachers what happened, and they should be on our side." He pauses. "They might call our parents, though." Izuku's eyes widen as the realization sinks in. "Oh no," she exclaims. "My mom will be so disappointed in me, and my dad, he'll kill me." Katsuki shrugs as if it's no big deal. That's just the sort of stuff you're going to have to face when you get in a fight at school. There's almost always going to be a snitch." Izuku isn't comforted, though. "That's why we should avoid violence as a whole," she whispers. Katsuki scoffs. "Izuku, please, don't give me that crap. Those kids started picking on us first. That kid deserved a good punch to set him in place. And you, a girl of all things, being the one to give him that punch, that was pretty awesome to see." "But getting in trouble won't be awesome," she wails. "Teachers have never called my parents before." "Oh gosh, what should we do? Should we lie?" "I don't want to lie about what happened. We'll tell them what happened. And whatever happens after that, happens. It's not going to be the end of the world." Izuka sighs. "I guess you're right. But I don't know how my parents are going to take this. My dad yells at me enough already just for the fact that I like boy things, so I don't know how he's going to take this. Will she get spanked, grounded, thrown out on the streets? The possibilities are endless. She's panicking way too much." He thinks to himself, and he can't help but feel worried for her. An idea comes to mind. Something he'd normally never do for anyone, but for some reason he doesn't really get. He's compelled to do it for her, even though he knows he's going to regret doing this. "Izuku, if you want, I can say that I was the one who punched that kid." Izuku is shocked. "Why you do that? For me?" "For some goddamn reason, yes." He would. "My parents are kind of used to getting phone calls from my teachers. Judging from how you're acting, I think they'll take what happened today better than your parents. I can't let you do that. Please, Izuku, trust me when I say it's not a big deal. I get grounded all the time for getting in fights. I'll handle it just fine. I don't want to get in trouble for something I did, though. Look, I was going to punch that kid right before you beat me to it. So just accept what I'm trying to do here, all right, nerd?" Izuka bites her lip and looks as though she's about to cry. Katsuki grunts. "Anyway, recess is almost over, so let's..." Katsuki is so caught off guard by the sudden hug she then gives him that he doesn't even notice that she proceeds to call him by his nickname again. "Thank you. Kakin," she whispers. Katsuki and Mitsuki have been walking from school to their home for 5 minutes now. Mitsuki hasn't uttered a word since they left the building. Katsuki is absolutely lost on what to make of this. "So are you mad at me, Mom?" he asks finally. Mitsuki's breath hitches in her throat. "It's good that you were defending Izuka-chan, Katsuki, but I'm not okay with the fact that you had to resort to violence. Well, what was I supposed to do? Let one of those boys land the first punch. I don't know, she replies. All I know is that kid's nose is pretty messed up, and that no matter how many times I punish you, you still get yourself into these types of situations. Katsuki figures this is his cue to feel guilty, but truthfully, all he feels is pure confusion over the events that transpired today. Well, that's a lie. He's been feeling confused ever since that damn day he met Izuku. No play dates or TV for 2 months. Mitsuki says resolutely, interrupting his thoughts momentarily. Katsuki opens his mouth to give a counter-argument as to why that punishment is just flat-out cruel, but after a moment of pondering, decides against it. His mind is occupied with other thoughts that he just can't be bothered to put up a fight right now. Thank you, Kakin. Izuku's words replay in his brain. That idiot. What gives her the right to call him his crummy nickname and to just hug him out of nowhere like that? Anyway, he shakes his head and then chuckles inwardly. Who is he kidding? He has no right calling her an idiot. He's the one who offered to lie for her in order to protect her, and now he's the one who's grounded. Just, why did he do that? Oh, Izuku, I'm so sorry you had such a rough day at school. Izuku doesn't say a word as they walk in the direction of their home. Guild has been prying at her ever since they left the school. Did she and Katsuki really make the right decision by lying to the teachers about who delivered the punch? The boys were quick to tell the teachers that Izuku was the one guilty, but when Katsuki stepped in and said he was, the adults believed him almost instantly without so much as batting a lash. She's worried about what Katsuki will face from his parents. But most of all, she's worried that he will end up resenting her for this. As Izuku waits in front of the classroom for the teacher to come the following day, she notices Katsuki walking toward her. Kakin. She calls out and darts toward him. She's met with an icy glare. She stops in her tracks and feels her heart stop for a moment. Her earlier fears of him hating her resurfacing. Are you okay? She asks uneasily. How did your parents take what happened yesterday? Don't talk to me right now, he replies and walks on past her. Izuku has trouble focusing on anything for the duration of class. All she thinks about is the cold way Katsuki brushed her off. I knew it. I knew that he'd hate me after all this. She thinks to herself repeatedly, her chest starting to hurt. By the time the bell rings to signify the start of recess, Katsuki exits the room without sparing Izuku a glance. She smiles ironically. So, it's back to that now, is it? Pass me the ball. Taichi, I need to practice scoring some hoops. Taichi complies, but sends him a concerned look beforehand. You doing okay, Katsuki? You've been frowning ever since recess started. I'm fine, he answers tersely and throws the ball in the basketball hoop. Hey, Kakin. A annoyingly familiar voice calls out softly behind him. He whirls around to find Izuku standing before him, her gaze averted from his. He sighs and glances at Taichi, who has a smirk plastered on his face. Get lost, Katsuki tells him swiftly. Taichi, under normal circumstances, would have gotten mad at the choice of words Katsuki used, but he isn't. He's amused. You know, if you wanted some privacy with your girlfriend, you could have just asked me nicely. He chimes, and passes Katsuki the basketball before walking away. Katsuki's definitely going to teach Taichi a good lesson, or two in wrestling, for having made that comment. Once Taichi's out of sight, Katsuki turns back to Izuku. What do you want, nerd? He asks, his tone exasperated. Izuku doesn't say anything at first. When she tries to finally speak, she finds she's choking on her own words. I'm sorry, Kakin. Tears burst forth like water from a dam. It was all my fault. I should have taken the blame. I shouldn't have let you get in trouble. I'll even go and tell the teachers what really happened. If you want, just, please, don't hate me, Kakin. Her eyes are unlocked on the ground, so she has no idea what Katsuki's feeling as he starts to advance toward her. Izuku, he says once he's close to her, voice soft. Then, quit crying so much, you damn nerd. He hollers at the top of his lungs. Izuku nearly faints from the shock, and her tears desist. She stares at him, mouth wide open. He clicks his tongue. I don't hate you, you moron, and I'm not even mad at you. He grumbles and turns away. I'm mad at myself. Ever since I met you, I've been acting and feeling like the lamest person on the planet. Katsuki, you know that isn't true. Be quiet, he snaps. I keep doing these dumb things because of you and for you, and it's so damn annoying. I'm sorry, she tries, before Katsuki glares at her. Don't apologize. I did what I did yesterday because I wanted to, so don't even think about telling the teachers what really happened. I just don't understand. If I'm so annoying, then why are you doing this for me? You're not annoying. You make me do and feel things that I normally don't, he says warily. And that's what's damn annoying. For some reason, Izuku sees a deeper implication to Katsuki's words. Kaken, what do you think of me? She asks before she can stop herself. Does he have to say it? Hell, even he doesn't know. I'm not really sure, he replies. All I know for sure is that I would have never considered being friends with a girl before I met you. Does that mean you view me as a friend, Kaken? Izuku wants to hear him say it. He turns away. I wouldn't have gotten myself grounded for you if I didn't. What's weirder is that Katsuki isn't so sure he considers her a friend. He would have never helped anyone else in the way he did for her. She's something different to him. But she doesn't have to know that. At his words, Izuku can't help but smile. Kaken, she says warmly. So, are you two lovebirds done talking, or what? Taichi's sudden appearance has Izuku squeaking in alarm and Katsuki growling in anger. You're just begging for someone to beat you up, aren't you? Katsuki tells him threateningly. Taichi chuckles. Take a joke, will ya? Taichi answers smoothly. And since you think you're such tough stuff, let's see if you can even beat me in a game of basketball. Katsuki grins devilishly. You're on. Izuku fumbles with her fingers, unsure if her presence is wanted anymore. Katsuki's words that follow suit confirm that it is. You want to play with us? Izuku feels like her heart might burst out of her chest. Why, yes. Katsuki sticks to Izuku like glue for the next 5 months. It's only until days leading up to Valentine's Day that Katsuki realizes the reason for this. He has a crush on her. It's something he realizes he's had ever since the first time they played heroes and villains together, all the way back in September. Perhaps the crush started even before then, when she told him off to his face and beat him in that chokehold match. Maybe it started when she told him how he inspired her to become a better version of herself shortly afterwards. But, whatever the reason, it's turned him soft. For instance, before he met Izuku, the games he played with his friends were way tougher than they are now. But ever since Izuku started actively hanging out with him and his friends, he's always refused to play any game in which he could get seriously hurt. Games like wrestling were vetoed from his part, and even when they played games that included little no violence, like a sport or playing pretend, Katsuki made it clear to his friends that if anyone of that were too rough on Izuku, he'd teach them a good lesson in pain. Not to mention, whenever his mom asked him who he'd like to have a playdate with, Izuku was always his first option. He wasn't at all aware that this was due to the fact that he has feelings for her. Heck, even the constant teasing of his friends and mother actually didn't help him come to terms with his feelings. It's only when the teacher gives some crummy lecture on love in the days leading up to Valentine's Day that Katsuki has an epiphany. All the things the teacher talks about when a person has a crush. The butterflies in one's stomach. The feelings of warmth whenever that person's around. The incessant longing to be around that person. The need to protect that person. Katsuki feels like screaming by the time the lecture is over. What's worse is that he's subconsciously known he's had a crush for a while now. But now, he can't deny it to himself anymore. And because of it, he's turned into something he previously wasn't. A softie. Another thing his friends have been pointing out to him for months now, but something he just could never pick up on. Katsuki can't even bring himself to look at Izuku by the time class is finished. He's been a terrible influence on Izuku these last couple months. He was supposed to be helping her reach her potential as a future hero. He was supposed to encourage rowdy behavior in her, not avoid it like the plague. How are they going to become future heroes when he can't even bring himself to lay a finger on her? He has no idea what to do next. As Izuku walks home from school with her mother, she finds herself replaying the words of what their teacher told them that day about crushes and love. Her teacher's words made Izuku feel strange. What their teacher described is exactly how she feels about Katsuki, and only Katsuki. But what is she to do now with this information? She's positive Katsuki doesn't feel the same way. The two of them are constantly teased by other people's friends for being a couple, a fact that Katsuki constantly denies. If he felt the same way, he wouldn't do that, right? She decides to ask her mother what she should do. Mama, I have a question. Yes, Izuku? Today at school, our teacher talked about what crushes are. Oh, is that so? Izuku nods. I have one on Kakin, I think. After having made that statement, Inko's lips curl into a wide grin. She looks like she's just won the lottery. Really? Inko squeeze. Izuku, I'm so happy for you. I knew it all along. Pink grazes Izuku's cheeks, and she coughs. Anyway, I wanted to ask you, well, what am I supposed to do now? Inko blinks. Well, have you thought about telling Katsuki how you feel? I don't know if that's such a smart idea. I don't think Kakin feels the same way, and I really don't want to ruin our friendship. Well, I have an idea. Since Valentine's Day is around the corner, why don't you give him something special? Valentine's Day rolls around, and by the time recess starts, in Katsuki's eyes, Izuku has decided to do something incredibly stupid. I have something to give you, Kakin, she says, rummaging through her pocket. She pulls out what seems to be fancy chocolate, wrapped in red velvet. I made this with my mom the other day, she says softly, and she looks at him with this look that makes Katsuki want to bash his head on something for how mushy it is. He stares down at her present that she handcrafted for him and him only. He knows what it is, Hamiai Choco, and he knows what this now means. He just sure as hell isn't going to roll with it. No thanks. He replies firmly, I don't want it. Give it to someone else. But Kakin, Izuku, I don't understand why you would give me something like this. Katsuki feels a sinking feeling in his stomach when he sees just how red Izuku's face turns at his comment. We aren't together that way, he says steadily and looks at the sky. You'd be better off giving that chocolate to someone else. Izuku holds her breath. She's not going down so easily. Kakin, you're the most special person to me in my life right now. You might not feel the same way, and you don't have to, but at the very least, please accept this present. I want you to be the one to eat this chocolate. No one else. Katsuki's well aware that's as good as a confession as he's going to get from her, but he doesn't need it. You chose the wrong person to make that chocolate for, he tells her sharply and walks away. It's gradual and subtle, but with each passing week, Katsuki grows meaner. Look, you can read the last part of Izuku's name as Deku. He turns to Izuku with a smirk on his face. Deku, that must be what you call a helpless loser who's completely useless. All of his friends chuckle in unison, and they turn to Izuku with smug grins on their faces, anticipating her reaction. Izuku frowns as her brow furrows. Why are you being so mean, Kakin? Her question hits a nerve, and guilt momentarily passes through Katsuki, but he quickly shoves it away. Does she really need to ask that question? He's doing it for her own good. He doesn't like being mean to her, but Izuku currently lacks no spine. If she really wants to be a hero one day, she needs to learn how to defend herself. If she wants him to stop being mean, then she should just stand up to him, show him who's boss. But since he started regularly teasing her, she hasn't taken the damn hint, something that's been sourly disappointing Katsuki these past couple of weeks. He's not going to back down, though. He's already failed her as a role model enough. The first 5 months they hung together were a complete disaster. It turned the both of them into total wusses, and by the end of it, instead of becoming good rival material, Izuku was practically ready to become his future bride instead, which completely defeated the point of why Katsuki even decided to hang out with Izuku in the first place. He's aware that this was all his fault. He's the one who was overly considerate with her all those months. But he's going to remedy that now, whether she likes it or not. He told her all those months ago that he'd be a positive influence on her, and he intends to keep that promise, even if she doesn't like the way he's going about it. Besides, the worst he dishes out to her are insults. If he wanted to, He could result to physical violence as well as rougher games to set her in place. But he doesn't, so she should be grateful for that, at least. And as each day passes, he finds it easier to distance himself from the crush he once had. Katsuki's quirk manifests for the first time during class. Everybody gathers around in a circle, in awe of the small fiery blasts coming from his palms. Awesome! One of the boys cry out. You're so lucky. Izuka blurts. Yeah. Another boy chimes in. Impressive. I bet you that's going to grow into an amazing quirk. The teacher's male assistant says with a smile. Definitely. Their teacher adds. A flashy quirk for a future hero. It's perfect. The overwhelming amount of praise Katsuki's been receiving has the young boy beaming. Yeah. You're right. I am amazing. In fact, I bet there's no one as great as I am. Katsuki soon finds that being mean to Izuku is second nature. But for whatever reason, she still follows him around like a lost puppy, never once thinking to confront him for the way he treats her. Wow, you're so lucky. Izuku's eyes sparkle as she walks behind Katsuki. Your quirk is amazing, Kakin. When I get mine, I hope it's just as cool. Katsuki almost laughs at her comment. Whatever, Deku, he tells her dismissively. No matter what power you end up with, you'll never be able to beat me. Stand up for yourself, you damn nerd. Although, he has to admit, the idea that Izuku really thinks that they could one day be on the same level is starting to sound kind of hilarious. His quirk is the best their school has seen in a long time, coupled with the fact that it belongs to him of all people. Katsuki can now say without a doubt that becoming the next #1 hero will be no problem. And if anyone tries to get in his way, he'll just show them exactly what he's capable of. Something inside Katsuki snaps the day he finds out Izuku's quirkless. The condescending comments from their peers don't help at all. Hey, did you hear? Deku doesn't have a quirk. Like none. What? Really? Yeah. It's called being quirkless. That's dumb. She's so lame. Don't worry about it, Izuku, the teacher says reassuringly. Being quirkless isn't such a big deal. Katsuki wants to hit the teacher. How is it not a big deal? Izuku was supposed to become a hero alongside him. They were supposed to become heroes together. But now, Izuku's exactly what she claimed she was on that very first playdate they had, all those months ago. A nothing. And for some reason even he can't comprehend, he grins. He doesn't know why. He isn't happy. But the situation is almost funny in its own twisted way. You're a total failure. Deku. Izuku's stunned when Katsuki approaches her at recess a couple days later. What's this? He demands. Izuku flinches as Katsuki holds up her sketchbook. She's flabbergasted. Where did you get that? You're still fantasizing about becoming a hero, aren't you, Deku? She doesn't want to answer that. Deku, you're quirkless. I know, but there's still a chance. Deku, stop it. You're only setting yourself up for disappointment if you keep this up. His voice then softens. Don't do that to yourself. Izuku bites her lip. Why do you care? She asks quietly, voice barely a whisper. And why would he, after the way he's been treating her these past weeks? He hands her the sketchbook. There's just nothing more annoying than watching a kid have delusions of grandeur. He answers. Izuku is silent as Katsuki walks off. She wonders why he only commented on the drawing she has of heroes, and not on the drawing she has of him and herself. Forward march, and here we go. Members of the agency Bakugo, despite Katsuki's upbeat marching song, bringing a smile to the rest of Katsuki's friends who are following him, Izuku can't exactly bring herself to smile in turn. She's busy trying to pinpoint the exact moment when her life started to stink again. It didn't go downhill when her father decided to take a work post abroad. In fact, that event affected her the least, considering how she was never a big fan of her father in the first place. It didn't even start to go downhill when she found out she didn't have a quirk. It all started the day after Valentine's Day, all those weeks ago. She wasn't even bothered so much by Katsuki rejecting her on Valentine's Day. It was more due to the fact that soon afterwards, Katsuki changed. For worse. And at this point, Izuku doesn't know why she sticks around Katsuki anymore. She knows that he's changed, that it had better for her if she just left him alone. And yet, she can't. She can't let go of him, despite his constant teasing. She still remembers the boy he used to be. Then, out of nowhere, he falls. "Are you all right? Are you hurt?" Izuku asks. Katsuki stares at Izuku, whose arm is outstretched toward him. "I was worried you might have hit your head or something." She says, "Stop it. Stop looking at me as if I'm some kind of weakling." Deku. Izuku is 10 years old the day Katsuki decides to beat her up for the first time. "Izuku, what on earth happened to you?" Inko exclaims as she rushes to her daughter's side. "I was playing basketball with the boys, and they hit me really hard with the ball accidentally a couple times. It's no big deal." "Izuku, your arms are bruised and you have a black eye. Those sort of injuries don't just come accidentally." "Well, I guess to me they just do." Izuku snaps and places her backpack near the doorway. She exhales. The memories from the day start to replay in her mind. "Why are you being so mean?" Izuku asks. "You're making him cry, Kakin. If you keep on hurting him, I'll stop you myself." Katsuki stares at Izuku before chuckling. "You want to pretend to be a hero? You don't stand a chance without a quirk." Deku. Izuku shuts her eyes and turns away from the gaze of her mother. He's been making her life a living hell since the 2nd grade, with his constant insults and rallying the whole grade against her. He even got all of them to start calling her Deku at some point, too. But today, he crossed all boundaries. "Just drop it, Mom, okay? I told you what happened, and that's all there is to it." Inko-san told me at work today that Izuku-chan got hurt really badly playing basketball yesterday. Mitsuki brings up casually during dinner. Katsuki nearly breaks his chopsticks upon hearing the news. "Nearly. So, Deku didn't snitch on me." He smirks. "She's smart. Because if she did, I would have killed her." "Katsuki, why are you smiling? This isn't a laughing matter." "Sorry, I remembered something funny that happened at school. That's why." He replies as he props a piece of chicken into his mouth. "Anyway, I haven't hung out with Izuku since the 2nd grade, Mom. So I don't really get why you feel need to tell me this. So she got a little hurt playing basketball. I don't see how that relates to me." Mitsuki scoffs. "I thought it was worth letting you know. She was your closest friend back in the 2nd grade, after all." "Well, that was then. Now we hardly even speak to each other." "Well, that's a bit of lie. They do still talk, but it's only when Katsuki decides to pick on her. But Mitsuki doesn't need to know that information." Mitsuki frowns. "What drove you two apart? You two were inseparable throughout most of the 2nd grade." "Oh, gee, Mom. He doesn't know. Maybe Izuku being extra baggage is what drove them apart. Maybe it's the fact that instead of helping reach his full potential, all Izuku's ever done is drag him down. Maybe it's the fact that despite her being completely useless, she still thinks she's better than him. Scratch that. She's not completely useless. God, beating her up yesterday after a long time I wanted to do so was just so exhilarating. Having her ride beneath him, watching the color fade from his eyes as she lost consciousness. It was like a dream out of heaven. While she'll never be useful in the way Izuku wants to be, she'll at least be useful as a good punching bag from here on out. A week passes, and Izuku decides to do something incredibly bold by her standards. Katsuki is off minding his own business, practicing basketball by himself, when Izuku decides to pop up uninvited and nab the ball from him. Katsuki's eyes narrow. "Give me the ball, nerd," he says threateningly. "I want you to stop harassing me, Kakin," she says without missing a beat. Katsuki's caught off guard by how vehement her tone is. His shock doesn't last for long, though. He laughs. "Acting a bit high and mighty now, are we, Deku? Especially considering the beating you took last week." It's funny. This is the sort of reaction he wanted from her from the beginning. The exact reason why he started teasing her, all the way back in the 2nd grade. But now, all it's doing is pissing him off. "I've had it with you calling me Deku. I've had it with you teasing me all the time. So let's make a deal. Let's fight. Just you and me. If I win, I want you to stop being such a cold-hearted bully." And if you win, well, the reward is up to you. What did you just call me? He snarls. I'm not a cold-hearted bully, you damn loser. People like you think I am because you've never won a real fight. Out of all the things she decides to do next, she smirks. A particularly smug one at that. I remember beating you at that chokehold match, the first day we met, and I remember you cried like a baby afterwards. If murder weren't illegal, he would have slaughtered her right then and there. He pushes her to ground. You want to fight, Deku? You got one. Izuka doesn't know what exactly prompted her to get in a fight with Katsuki that day. She should have just told on him for all the times he's treated her like garbage. But she knows that if she did, Katsuki wouldn't stop his bullying. He'd only get back at her when the next opportunity presented itself. So she figured that if she got into a fight with him one-on-one, she could give him a taste of his own medicine while putting an end to his tyranny. But as she lays on the ground, staring at the sky, nose bleeding and body bruised, all she thinks about is how this might not have been such a great idea after all. How was school today, Katsuki? Mitsuki asks. Katsuki grunts as he takes off his shoes. Fine, he mumbles. That's all you ever say, Katsuki. His mother groans. Come on, give me a little more than that. Well, if he's going to be completely honest, aside from the boring lectures he had to sit through at school, today was better than fine. He beat the snot out of worthless Izuku and then got a pretty decent reward out of it. I want you to give me your limited edition All Might figure. He told her without the slightest hint of remorse when the fight was over. The whole idea of Izuku taking him on in a fight was just downright hilarious from the get-go, and one he knew would end in failure. But he rolled with it, because he never backs down from these sort of challenges out of principle. Not to mention because she pissed him the hell off. And now look at what she did. She only got herself hurt, and now she has to give him her limited edition All Might figure. A toy he's fully aware means a world to her. But it's her own fault. If she wanted to keep it, she shouldn't have played with fire. Or at least, in this case, with explosions. Katsuki, I'm talking to you. His mother barks and grabs him by the ear. Ack! He swats her hand away. Damn it, you old hag. Nothing that great happened at school today. So leave me alone. Izuku cries as she wills herself to fall asleep that night. Katsuki, why and when did you become so cruel? She misses the days when they were still friends, when they could play games together for hours on end. The days when Katsuki didn't bully her any chance he got. But the more time passes, the more those days seem out of reach. She turns on the light, walks on over to her drawer, and pulls out her old sketchbook from the 2nd grade. Aside from the drawings she has of All Might and sketches of her future hero costume, there are drawings she has of her and Katsuki dressed as heroes. She rips those drawings out of her sketchbook, walks over to her trash can, and throws them away. As Izuku begins to walk home from school the next day, a hand is suddenly placed on her right shoulder. Just where do you think you're going, nerd? She gulps. She doesn't have to turn around to know who it is. Or rather, she's just too scared to turn around. Hey, Kakin. Katsuki leans over to her ear. We had a deal, in case you forgot. Izuka shivers. Katsuki's way too close to her. It's unsettling. I know. Just give me a second. I'll give you the figure. Just don't hurt me, please. Tentatively, she rummages through her pocket, pulls out her treasured limited edition All Might figure, and hands it to him with her right hand over her left shoulder. Here you go, Kakin. Katsuki takes it with what she presumes to be his left hand, and releases his hold on her shoulder. Turn around, Deku. Look at me. Izuku complies. She's not feeling particularly confident right now as to argue with him. Then, clutching the figure with both of his hands, he uses his quirk to incinerate her toy right before her eyes. Izuku's jaw falls open. Her mind is sent reeling in shock. Why? Is all she can bring herself to ask. I thought about it more, and realized that toy is worthless to me. Katsuki replies, a smirk grazing his features. He then grabs Izuku by the collar of her shirt. No, the real reward is a look of agony in your eyes as I destroy something dear to you. A cauldron of rage boils up in Izuku's chest. Blood red edges her vision. He then releases his hold on her, chuckles, and walks past her. "It's not like you needed that toy, anyway," he says with a wave of his hand as he goes about his way. Once Katsuki is out of sight, she grits her teeth and stares down at the ashes of her former toy, which lay before her on the ground. Tears start to seep from her eyes. "Are you okay?" The voice comes from behind her, and it's distinctly male. Izuku turns around. A boy stands before her. To be precise, a teenager. He looks like he's in high school, but that's not what's noteworthy about him. It's the fact that he's really weird looking.